We are witnessing one of the most extraordinary scenes I have ever seen.
Hop on board the world's largest safari vehicle as we track down Africa's most iconic animals on our daily live shows.
This is crazy.
Captivating characters, breathtaking beauty and daily drama.
Aardvark, $1 million card. How insane is that animal?
Only on WildEarth. Include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Dumela, and a very warm welcome. Beautifully set, the Coronaberg mountain range. What a beautiful setting it is. Wow, look at that. My name is Kyle, and behind camera is Glenn, and welcome to your live safari in the African wild. We are going to be venturing down that way for today, and with these cool prevailing weather conditions that we've been having, a nice cool 24 degrees or 72 degrees Fahrenheit, we have a good chance of finding some of these nocturnal, rare and elusive species. So what myself and Glenn are going to do is we're going to go down far south where you can see those mountains, and we're going to see if we can potentially pick up an aardvark. These are perfect conditions for an aardvark. It's cool, it's not too much sun, and the rain that we've had this morning is perfect for the vegetation. Early rains is always a good thing for the grass, for the trees, for the insects, for the birds, everything. So with this cloud cover that we're having, all that vegetation can soak up all that much needed water. We are ready for this afternoon. Hope you guys are too. And what a great afternoon it is. So beautiful. Look at that. How vegetation just blends in with the mountains. The mountains look really, really small. They are very big. And I mean, there's some large trees on those mountains. So to give you perspective on how large they are, it is truly spectacular. Nice big lines. And you can see from those lines that these mountains were created from the material, the rock being squashed together, creating these beautiful, beautiful landscapes. It is truly spectacular driving through Tswalu and enjoying the rolling hills that we have here. Also a very important place for a lot of animals, birds, reptiles and plants we would only find within the mountains. So that is a perfect home for multiple species over here, and also really beautiful for us to look at. An amazing afternoon we are having. We are so ready, and I've got this feeling in my tummy that we are going to find an aardvark this afternoon. This is definitely the weather, and if we don't, I'll put my aardvark suit on. How about that? So we are on the western side of this mountain range. This mountain range runs from north to south, and it's a beautiful, beautiful setting we have.
Jumbo, another beautiful setting we have here of all-male giraffe having a discussion that we cannot understand. They're just standing there. I think they've had enough to eat, and it's time to ruminate. A very good afternoon, everyone. My name is Isaac, and on camera is Bungay. We are here close to the Mara River in the Masai Mara, and we're ready for this afternoon safari. Hope you are. The weather in the Mara is around 29 degrees Celsius. Remember to talk to us, #WildEarth. Also, you can ask questions through #FC. And also, comments and questions are very, very welcome. And to start with, our live safari this afternoon in the Mara is the tallest one. I like how they just chill out and chew their cud. Looks like they don't care. they don't have a care in the world. This guy, you can tell, has got a slight deformity, but it hasn't affected him at all because he is massive, he is big, he looks like he's been through a very healthy life, and so it hasn't been a problem. One thing you should note, this is the Maasai giraffe, and the pattern is like a jigsaw puzzle or patches. Each giraffe, very much like a zebra, has got its own unique pattern, and experts say that some young ones do inherit the pattern from their mothers. I still have to prove that because there's a few giraffes that I've seen over the years. Well, if you look at these guys in between forelegs, he looks very wrinkly. It is typical because when he stretches the legs or splays them to drink, that skin comes in very handy because he stretches out. I hope you can understand that, when he stretches out apart, and so that skin, plays a very big role in actually stretching so that they don't rip off their skin. Definitely, this is a group of a bachelor herd. It is typical to see them sometimes like this, and usually after eating well for a couple of days or weeks, they will neck, which is a sort of fight that they have. Usually it is important at a very young age, like in these guys here, so that they can determine who is higher ranking than the other. And so in future meetings, it can diffuse conflicts so they don't start all over again. You can tell like that guy in the middle is looking for trouble, and that's why he was moving there. I don't know what he's really up to, but you can tell already it's like he wants to pick up some trouble. I'm staying here with these giraffes. Let's see what else is live with another vehicle.
Good afternoon and welcome to this end of the Sunset Safari. My apologies for the radio making a very unpleasant noise as we started. My name is James Hendry. Hello. And on camera today, sporting a magnificent hat, is Mpo. There is his thumb. These Impala are being very uncooperative. They're moving away from us. Let me just reverse slowly. A friend of mine came past here about half an hour ago, and he said that in this area these Impala were making a loud alarm-calling noise, which makes me think that there could be a predator somewhere around here. And, well, if we're very lucky, we'll find that predator. We'll just angle it so that Mpo can get a picture of the Impalas. Very beautiful antelope that they are. There we are. And you will see now that they are not standing on a slope. Remember to talk to us using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Otherwise, if you are a youngster, you can send us an email to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Now these Impala are a bit confused because we've kind of gotten their way and they don't really know if they're afraid of us or if they are not afraid of us, or if they want to be with their friends, or if they want to stay here on this firebreak area where the grass is now green. Oh, and now we're going to get a display of athletics. Here we go. Quite often when they run towards the road like this, you can get them doing their unbelievable jumping. But today is not such a day. They are now thwarting and pause every effort to film them. Okay, let's just move a little bit around the corner here. Here they are again. Getting a little bit of sun this afternoon, which is nice. I'm not making this much easier for him, Paul. There we are. Right, so we're going to sit here and listen out and see if they alarm call again, or perhaps if there are any tracks of a leopard.
Well, yes, it looks like these guys that's quite interesting, because when a fight is over, the winner usually mock mates the other, and I think that was it. And maybe there was a fight earlier, because definitely these two are males, and there is nothing like mating of the same gender in animals. So it can be strange, but that guy is really being bully. He's bullying the other guy, because maybe earlier on, before I arrived, they had a fight and he won. And usually it's typical for the winner to mock mate and bully the other. Yeah, I love giraffes, because once they pick up a sound or a voice of somebody talking, they're very inquisitive. They always stand there and pretend to listen to the conversation, like these two are doing. Okay, another one has photobombed, and he wants also to be famous, and so he has decided to stand in the middle. Yeah, that looks very interesting. Looks like a giraffe with two heads on the left. This is beautiful scene, guys. Remember to talk to us, #WildEarth. Questions, comments are very, very welcome. This is one of the only type of giraffe that we find in the Masai Mara. On their legs, as you can see, they have socks. This is one typical way. This is a typical way of identifying this special kind of giraffe called the Masai giraffe. They have socks from the ankles downwards and the jigsaw puzzle. These guys are really performing for us. He stood behind the other, and it looked like one with two heads. Yeah, looks like they're very interested in my voice. All of them around me are just looking at me. Hey guys, I'm not giraffe. Looks like this is a very safe area for them, and so they're chewing their cud. There's nothing to worry about, and so it's time to listen to me. Yeah, look at this. The one to the left there, he's got quite some very, very thick horns. Look like he's much older.
Good afternoon, viewers, and welcome to the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have elephants here, and they look so much playful. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. These elephants have a wonderful time here feeding. They just come from the marsh. You can see some of them have very dark body. That is from a mud wallow. We have tiny calves who are super playful. And sometimes we witness this just before the rains, where animals will be playful. Now I can see that some of them are facing the opposite direction while they're flapping their ears. So elephants are super intelligent, such that they will face downwind, and wind that is blowing back there behind their ears then gets to be trapped and cool them, as they use those blood vessels which get cooled by the air that is trapped between the body and the ears. Now some of them, like those two bulls, the young teenage bulls there, they're trunk wrestling, which is a social behavior witnessed in elephants. So sometimes it can be friendly, sometimes it can be severe, and sometimes the adults will come and separates them. But that is one way that they master how to use that element in survival in the future. Now they have another way of communication because they have what you call chemical communication, tactile communication. They have a super strong sense of smell. And because of the chemical that they excrete through pheromones, which convey both long and short distance communication, sometimes they're able to tell if another elephant is emotional, physical states, sometimes even the extent of trail to where they have passed from. For example, if an elephant comes here, walks towards this bull, these cows, especially some bulls, they're able to tell through the chemical communication where this bull has come from. How intelligent is that? You see, this has mixture of ages. So this tells you we can see it's about 2 families. So we can see 2 matriarchs. Now, thank you so much for your question. Elephants are super fast. They can run to about over 40 kilometers an hour. They are super fast, even though they look very, very lazy, big, but they can run super fast. Just like humans, elephants have their own social status where some are aggressive, some are friendly, some can get sad. It's super nice when you see an elephant family interacting. I think at the back there, that's one of the matriarch. You can see one calf is lying down on the ground, so he's resting and lifting up his head up. Oh, one leg is up in the air. While this second calf is actually resting there. Alexander, thank you so much for your question. What is the average number of baby an elephant can have? So elephants will get mature by the time they're about 8 to 9 years old. That is fast when they mate. So it takes about 22 months. So depending on the climatic condition, I would say about, in their life, about 7 or 8 babies that they can get, because it takes about 22 months. And sometimes you find, because of stress and the places where they go by, you find that there's a year that they cannot give birth because of conditions of favorable or not. But I'll say about 7 or 8 number of babies that they can give. You see, one of the matriarchs there, they have mud on their body, and most of the elephants, they have mud on their body. That is a way of cooling themselves off. And the mud bathing is so efficient such that it cools their body 8 times more than when they cool themselves with water. So when they walk over a mud puddle or where there's water, sometimes you see them spraying themselves with water. Of course, that is a way of cooling themselves, but mud is also significant in making them cooler 8 times better than water. So the young ones have to rely on their mother for security, and also because they are nursing. They're weaned at about 2 years, but sometimes you find them up to even 3.5, where they're still nursing. That tiny one is trying to smell a typical behavior that they observe when they're growing up. So this elephant family is looking so interactive, and I'm enjoying this sighting here. I'm not going to leave here. I'll still be waiting to see what we're going to do next as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
Good afternoon, everyone, from myself and this lovely little leopard tortoise that is out and about. We just found it taking a stroll on the southern fire break, especially since we've had so much rain. It must be really happy not to be all dried out and for all the juicy vegetation to be around as well. I'm so happy to see it. Hi everyone, it's me, Trishala, and I've got BK on camera. There's a wonderful dry afternoon out here on Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. So that's also just lovely, but there's still lots of patches of water all over the place, and the ground is still really nice and wet. So this leopard tortoise will be really enjoying this. Now, these guys are vegetarian, so they'll be looking for all sorts of vegetation. They even like to eat flowers and other things that they can dig up from underground, and occasionally some hyena scat, as well as some bone. And that's just to get extra nutrients. It's giving us the eye. Now, tortoises can very easily get dried out. They rely on water quite a bit, which is why they have a little sack called a RSA sack where they store water for really horribly dry times. And when it's moist like this, they really have the time of their lives. Oh, you can hear it moving. It's getting a little bit comfortable. Nice patch of water. And everything is good and damp. It'll start to move now. And these tortoises can actually swim as well. So if there's excess water around, which it'll just love, it can even swim. The other tortoise we get around here is this beaks-hinged tortoise. I haven't seen any of them around since the rains. But whenever the rains come, you can always expect to see three things almost immediately: a leopard tortoise, a millipede, and a giant African land snail. So I'm looking forward to seeing all those things today. And we've got one off our list already. You see how green the grass has gotten? And that's just from a few days of rain. Well, this little critter seems to be getting a little bit more comfortable. I'm going to let him go about his business.
Our elephants are still here. They're still enjoying this grass. But you see those young ones cooling themselves off. They're dusting off. One of the matriarch was there, dusting off. That's another way of cooling themselves. You can see them throwing dust over their body. So elephants are also super clever, such that they use their trunks and their tusks as tools. Sometimes when there's not enough supply of water, you'll see the elephants digging with their tusks. So their tusks come very handy when it comes to helping out sometimes when they are scraping off the barks of trees, which is sometimes provides them with water. So we have a species of tree called the acacia, which is so evident where elephants have gone through. You find lots of destruction. They've gone into a creek where I think there's some mineral deposits, So these elephants play a vital role in the ecosystem such that they are the keystone species. So before this, remember this is the live and interacting safari, so we're coming to you live from 6 different locations.
Look at this amazing scene that we have here unfolding on the ground. We've got some plum-coloured dung beetles, and they have found some pretty old buffalo dung, and some newer kudu dung. I think it's kudu, yep, looks like kudu. And they are rolling it into balls, and they're taking it away. And this chap over here that I'm pointing at, there, him, he has been fighting with all the others because one much smaller one tried to take his ball from him, and then he, in turn, took a whole lot of stuff from this chap. Let me move that stick out the way. And he's building himself a very impressive ball. Isn't it just amazing? See how they use the front of their faces as a spade, and then they've got specialized combs on the front of their first legs that help them to pack the dung into the ball. And I don't know how well you can see this one, but he's breaking up a very fresh piece of dung there. Just amazing. Skill. Now, although they are the most obvious beetles here, there are a whole lot of other creatures around that have arrived to partake in the kudu dung, and I suspect they've all come out of the ground and emerged because it's warmish and there's been a lot of water, which means the ground is soft, and so a lot of them have emerged from where they were either pupating or estivating, hibernating. Mostly pupating, though. And you can see that there are a few different kinds of beetles around here. Veronica, it's very difficult to tell the difference between male and female. You have to be able to hear them singing a song. So if you can inspire them to sing, you can hear the difference between a male and a female, because the female unusually has got a much deeper voice than the males. And so, you know, you see if they're singing a soprano or a baritone aria or bass aria, and then you're able to tell whether it is a male or female that you're looking at. That is, of course, rubbish. I think it's probably impossible to tell male from female unless you dissect them, cut them open and look inside. And then, even then, you'd have to have a pretty good knowledge of insect gonadal anatomy in order to know the difference. I can't tell the difference here. You'll probably find that there's a size difference. I suspect that the male may be slightly smaller than the female, but I could be wrong. And I suspect that simply because the female's got to roll a bigger ball when she lays her egg inside it. It's got to be bigger than the nuptial ball, which is the ball that they use for mating. Although it has been, I have read a few things that have said that whole thing about them making this wedding ball, dragging it away and then mating with the female, and she comes back and lays an egg in a ball like this, is in fact not true. But I think there's a bit more research to be done on that. Just a fascinating little scene we have here. We did see initially 2 of them rolling off together on a ball, and that would initially have been called a nuptial ball, but it's entirely possible that the second dung beetle was in fact about to steal from, or they were trying to steal from each other. And remember, this is one of something like 700 different kinds of dung beetles, so there are hundreds of different species. This is one of the most common ones we get here, and one of the most famous ones because it's actually rolling a ball. Many of them don't roll balls. Some of them steal, some of them just dig underneath, some of them just lay their eggs in the dung straight away. So there are lots of different ways in which the dung beetles take part in the dung. Now there's a very, very tiny one here. Gizmo, the main purpose for them rolling the ball is to lay an egg in it, and then that egg hatches inside and the larva has a ready food source until it gets big enough. Here is a much smaller dung beetle, and these ones have not bothered to settle on the fresh dung. What they've done is settle in or around the balls that have already been rolled. So I don't think these are dung rolling kinds of beetles. I think these chaps probably just lay their eggs inside an already rolled ball. And the advantage of doing it in an already rolled ball is that the ball will then be taken away and buried. And it will save this particular beetle the trouble of doing what the big plum-coloured beetle has to do, which I think is quite clever. Why build your own house if someone else can do it for you? I shall take this back to the dung pile.
So we've managed to find out that the hippo is back. It disappeared from Leopard Dam for a day or two, and it seems to have found its way back. We actually just bumped into it. It was in a drainage line, and it basically ran back to this waterhole, which is pretty exciting. Hi, I'm Mike. Behind the camera, you've got Seb, and you joined us here at Eco Training's Pridelands Conservancy. A bit of a tongue twister there. So, yeah, we're here sitting at Leopard Dam. First time out for about 3 activities now, which is pretty exciting. We've had some incredibly heavy rains, and the waterhole is filled up very well. So that's why this hippo is obviously sticking around. We were just discussing it, a couple of days ago, Seb and I, that maybe this young male hippo was in another waterhole and it was being pressured by larger hippos, and so now it's used this wet weather to, move and find its own little patch. And I tell you what, this is a bit of a hippo paradise. There's lots and lots of grass sprouting all over this area around the dam. There's plenty of water. There's shallow areas and deeper areas. It's a perfect spot for a hippo. So hopefully it's going to stick around for a bit longer. I actually did something pretty weird a moment ago, and I'm hoping it'll do it again. It jumped. Basically, it was in the water like this, moving forward, and then all of a sardine, it just jumped up like a whale and did something that Seb said is called porpoising, which I've heard of before, but I've never seen it before. So that was pretty awesome. I wonder if I sort of got the feeling or the impression that it must have stepped on something in the water that it didn't know was there. And because I know there's a log that lies somewhere around there, so maybe it got a bit of a fright and jumped over the log. I'm not sure. Like a show horse. Hippos walk on the bottom just like they trot, just like a horse would. And they don't swim. They don't float either, even though they're covered in fat. Rosalind, hi, how are you doing? The hippo is quite big. I mean, this particular hippo I don't think is very massive, although it's difficult to tell without other hippos near it. But a hippo can be over 2,000 kilograms. I don't know what that is in pounds. Maybe over 4,000 pounds or something like that. A very, very large animal. It's the third largest land mammal. So elephants are first, then you've got white rhinos, and then hippos are next, bull hippos, big males. So this is a young male, so he's probably sitting somewhere about 1,500 kilograms. But a very big hippo can be over 2,000 kilograms and heavier even. It all depends, I suppose, on how much food they've got and how old they are. So that's very large. You don't want to bump into this animal out of the water. We were actually saying, Seb and I, when we came around the bottom end of the dam, the drainage line which leads into it, this hippo jumped out of the bushes and ran to the water. And we said, well, it's quite lucky we weren't doing a bushwalk or checking for tracks, as you often do. After rain like this, you want to see what tracks are around the waterhole. And that can be quite dangerous. They are very well known for having a very quick temper, especially if you are standing between the hippo and water. They will not hesitate to give you a chomp. And when your mouth is as big as a hippo's mouth, that chomp is not going to be very pleasant. Well, there's even a few giraffes at the edge of the water. You can just see it coming down to the water's edge there, or at least towards where the big boar bean is. I think you remember Lagatha was once sitting on that little termite mound with a whole herd of buffalo right below her. So it's an awesome spot, still providing some amazing animals. Hopefully, it's going to continue to provide us with incredible sightings during this nice wet period at the early part of summer.
Well, we're continually driving along. Haven't managed to find anything else of great import, but very nice to see the dung beetles coming out of the ground, because the ground is now nice and soft, and I'm sure we'll see lots more very soon. So we've found no evidence of any kind of predator. We had those Impala, well, Tristan had the Impala alarm calling up in the north of the reserve where we started. And so what we are doing is hoping to pick up on some tracks of that animal, but instead of doing that just yet, that animal meaning probably a leopard, we're going to have a look at the bird over there on the tree. And what it's doing is it's, well, just sitting there. Can you see it, Paul? It's a fork-tailed drongo, and the reason that we're going to look at it is not so much because it's a fascinating bird. It is a fascinating bird, but I'm rather more interested in the weather system moving in overhead. There it is, the fork-tailed drongo. And there has been this thick blanket of cloud over the low veld for the last few days, 5 days or so. And I don't know if we're ever going to see the sun again. That's what it feels like. But it's totally typical for this time of the year. And in fact, in many parts of the country, we have fairly long stints of frontal wet weather as we go into the summer. They're quite fun birds to photograph, the fork-tailed drongo, because they will often come back to the same perch. That particular one has not. He's flown off across the road in front of me. All right, let's continue our search for some kind of predator. On we go.
Well, good luck, James. Well, here I have come across a harem of the famous, Impala, and there are so many, I cannot count all of them at the moment. And this is, how they look. The black spot on the hind legs is a gland used for, scent marking, but also in case of danger, they can release a chemical or a pheromone so that they can find one another later after danger. And here is the main guy. I'm sure to win the hearts of all these girls, he must have gone through quite a lot. It is typical in Impala's life, where they get to challenge other males, and once they beat all of them, then they can have the harem. Could you lift your head up, sir, so we could see you and see your beautiful horns? Yeah, he's very busy, I think, accumulating enough grass, which is much needed, because being the dominant male is not easy for an Impala. You have all these girls and you are in charge of them. In case other males come in, you have to chase them away. If other males come in, you have to chase them away. And also, if there's a female that is in season, you have to mate with her. And if one tries to run away, you have to bring her back. So it is a lot of work for this guy. And I think that's why he's earning a bit of energy by eating all the grass. Look at that, he's checking on the females. The tenure usually is not very, long, just a couple of days, and then is that grey chin? You ask about if they feed on maponi trees. Well, I could grey cheese. You ask if they feed on maponi trees. Well, I could direct that question to one of my fellow colleagues in Southern Africa, because we don't have maponis in East Africa. Maybe Tanzania, Southern Tanzania, they have maponis, but we don't have them in Kenya. So I don't know if they eat maponis, but over here they eat plenty and plenty of grass and a few shrubs, not very many. So I could direct that question to be asked to my fellow guides in Southern Africa. This guy looks like he's got lots and lots of flies. Maybe he's been sweating, and that particular fly loves that kind of sweat, and so they are trying to suck on it. Yeah, look at that. Trying to eat as much as possible. He is very lucky that these females are very loyal to him. They're staying very put. As you can see, they're all gathered together and they're not going anywhere. Well, I don't know what triggered that. He got a little bit jealous. Maybe there's some males at a distance, and so he's trying to tell them, hey, don't you get close. Yeah, looks like actually he has seen some other males coming from a distance, and that's why he is responding by heading towards them. I don't know if he's going to chase them. Sometimes they fight, and the fight can be fatal. Look at the females. They look to be very loyal. They're almost following him. Yeah, he's going out. There is about 4 males to the right. I don't know if you see them. And I don't know. Yes. Well, see the reaction? They have to leave. The girls belong to him this time. And those guys, I think, from previous conflict know that, and they have taken off. And now he is walking majestically back to his girlfriends. As he grabs a little bit of grass as he wanders back. I'm staying here, see what this guy is up to, and while I do that, let's see what's happening in another live vehicle somewhere.
For fuck's sake.
That's a tail end of a Cape Cobra going into a hole. We saw a black Cape Cobra yesterday. That is a golden yellow form, or morph. What an amazing sight. So we were actually just driving south to go look for aardvark, and we managed to stumble upon one of our researchers, and he told us about this snake. Big, beautiful, about 1 meter long Cape Cobra. We spoke about the different color morphs yesterday, and this is one of many different color schemes that we have on Tswalu. But if Glenn can just get back there, it's just gone down a hole. It's just eaten a little lizard as well. But what an amazing sight. This is a very active predator, one of the most potent venom properties out of most snakes. Very, very potent concoction of proteins. That's all venom is. Snakes use venom not only for capturing prey, but also digesting prey. It actually helps them break down their food, which is a remarkable adaptation. This modified lizard is an active predator. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit here nice and quietly, and we're going to wait and see if the snake will come back out. But we looked at the color schemes, and what Tswalu is trying to do with Tswalu Foundation, so we're trying to shed light on the species because there's hardly nothing known about it. It's a very widely distributed snake, and we're trying to understand what is really going on. When do they breed? How many eggs they lay? How do they move? How do they fight? Are they territorial? You name it. We're trying to understand all these intriguing questions about these wonderful and important snakes. Really amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit down here, and hopefully if we get lucky, this animal will come out. To see this animal moving through this environment is really incredible. Wow, Daniel, your first snake in a long time. That is incredible. The color scheme, what you just saw there, the end of the tail going down into the burrow is beautiful. Yesterday we were looking at one that was almost jet black. As we ended the show, myself and Glenn found another one, a gold one with all black speckling on it. Really remarkable to see the different color schemes of these snakes. And now we're trying to understand is how do they get this color scheme? What is it? Is it environmental? Is it temperature? Is it food? Is it a gene passed on? Yet we are trying to understand it. Like I said, the more we understand, the better we can protect, because then we know how all these tiny little organisms fit in with this beautiful, vast ecosystem, and then we can understand how to protect it even better. But what an amazing sight. I'm so glad we've just got the tail end. That is a gift in itself. Just to see that little teeny tiny bit of that snake is a beautiful gift. We had just seen it eating a lizard. It ate a small gecko. They eat geckos, they eat birds, they eat small snakes, they eat larger snakes, even each other, which is quite incredible to see. But how amazing was that?
Oh, Cobra sounds great. I'm still driving around. It's so quiet. So quiet. I've literally just passed the den. I was hoping they would be out and about, our little ones. But I really want to find some elephants today. I haven't had my elephant fix for 2 days now. So I need to find some today. So I'm stopping and listening every now and then to hear the crunching of the branches, breaking of the branches, stripping off the leaves, but I'm not hearing anything, which is making me quite sad. But I suppose with all the rain, there's no need to go to the specific water points anymore. They can go to either any one of the little pans that would have filled up, and quite a number of them have, including chile pan and those other little wallows that are nearby. All have filled up. The same goes for those that are in the west. So what it means is that animals are less predictable in their movements. You can't just stake out a water hole because they don't have to go to a water hole to drink anymore. But we're going to keep on searching. Hopefully we'll find those elephants.
We're back here in the Mara and look at what we've come across. 2 lionesses. They're panting so heavily. I think that they've been stalking. We've seen some giraffes. That's what have made us locate these lions. The giraffes look very suspicious and they're walking towards these plains here. And look what we found. So these 2 lionesses have been trying to stalk some zebras, but with no success, because the giraffe is just not far from there. He's watching them not leaving this sighting. So these lionesses will be concealed in this grass for a little while before they go on their next move. But the look of them, they look like they're hungry. They so much need something to eat. Look at the way she's turning her head round, trying to locate prey. And as soon as she locates prey, after the giraffe has left, they will start walking towards the prey. Now, it's a very, very hard game to go about when you're finding food in this open space. Sometimes it's too open, it's too exposed, and some of the plains game get to see you. And that's what sometimes makes predators miss out on a hunt. We've seen lots of unsuccessful hunts, but I hope this evening these 2 lionesses might get something to eat. They look like they are nursing, because lactating animals, especially the lions, need to eat on a regular basis. Seems too tired. Could be maybe they have tried to hunt a little while ago and then missed out. In about 5 attempts, one might be successful, or sometimes in the 5 attempts can fail. So it can fail today, can fail tomorrow, and maybe be successful on the third day. Who knows? This is their third day. So we're going to sit here waiting to see if they carry on, because there's a giraffe just close to the here who is not living here. And that sometimes makes other animals who are being stalked by these lions go far away. So once they've been detected, once they've been seen, they abandon or ignore that pursuit, and they'll lie down to rest, just as we're witnessing right now. Our giraffe is here. Just look at her. She's a pregnant.
It is out. Look how amazing that creature is. And everybody that joined us yesterday, what a different color scheme you are witnessing right now. What a beautiful animal. Look at the tongue flicking in and out of the mouth, picking up scent particles. This is basically how a snake smells, or actually tastes. The tongue being forked, being able to pick up left and right, and that tongue goes into an organ that's situated at the bottom of the jaw of this animal. I'm just speaking really softly because I don't want to talk too loud. I don't want to disturb it. Like we've mentioned, we're here to observe, not to disturb. Wow. Look how it moves effortlessly over the landscape. So we have seen this animal consume a small gecko now a couple of minutes ago. And being a bit more active like this, it might still be hungry, so the gecko wasn't enough for it. Something you don't see every day. Come. Yeah, cool. So a very, very active snake. Some snakes will hunt in a format by sitting and waiting. This snake will actively pursue prey. It can also adopt the tactics of sitting and waiting. But once it bites something, it'll pursue it. Lewis, what color do cobras come in? A variety of colors. Normally animals they adopt a color scheme in correlation to the environment, geographical variation. But with Tswalu we have how many different color species? I would say maybe a couple, maybe 6 or 7 different color schemes. Yeah, but an array from this beautiful golden color that you guys are seeing now, almost jet black, this golden color with speckles on it, brown speckles on it. And we are really trying to understand and answer this intriguing question, why? Why are some cobras a certain color scheme and other cobras are other? You know, if you think about habitat and how an animal fits into its habitat in correlation to hunting, color is a very important thing for the animal to be successful in multiple attributes of hunting. Do you see it over there, Glenn? It's coming through there by the shepherd's tree. But a really amazing thing, typical of cobra, it's got that hood that we saw yesterday. Do you see it? Yes, look at that. This is really special to see, folks. And how amazing that we can share this with you. So this, we looked at the fang yesterday. So it's got a tiny fang, the front part, on the front of its jaw. April, I couldn't agree with you more. A magnificent specimen. Truly, truly beautiful. I enjoy snakes thoroughly. Just their adaptation, if you think about it, they're a highly modified lizard. Yeah, it's coming towards us. Look at this. Wow. Unbelievable to see this, guys. So we're on foot. We're about 15 meters away from the snake. And there was even a point where I was going to grab Glenn and pull back because I thought it was going to come right up to us.
I can't believe they're going to cut away. They're going to cut away. I can't believe that. A very cool afternoon here from andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. We actually drove straight out of the lodge and found these two lionesses. There's actually one of them here in the road in front of us, right outside the lodge on one of the main roads. My name is Devalt, and behind the camera we've got Craig, and it's a very, very nice afternoon here. We actually cannot move our vehicle at all because the one lioness got up and actually came and lie down right next to us. She's so close that we barely can even film her. You can see she's literally less than a meter or so away from the other vehicle, from this vehicle. So the other vehicles want us to move so we can give them a spot to also have a look at the animals. But for now, we'll just have to wait for her to move. But looking at this young lioness that's lying in the road there, we identified them as two young sub-adult lionesses from one of the prides on Phinda. And the way that we did that is if you look at her stomach there and also her back legs, a little bit on her front legs as well, you can see those spots that they have when they're born is still quite prominent. She just looked up in this direction, looking towards her sister. So these two are indeed sisters from the same litter as well. Really enjoying the cool road as well. But I think this road is not wet like the grass is after all the rain we've had on Phinda for the last week or so. See that tail just flick every now and then. Can almost see the tip of the tail also moving every now and then just because it wants to flick away the insects around her. They actually were trying to hunt some kudus earlier, but they were unsuccessful, and then this one lioness came and lied right next to us. And these two lionesses are so beautiful, but still very inexperienced. Because they're so young, they don't have the experience, but they're slowly getting there. They are really settling down now. I think they're enjoying this cool weather and being out of the wind on this road, covered by bushes on the sides.
We've got two of the most uncooperative giraffe in all the world. We've been driving up and down this road trying to keep sight of them, and they've now decided that that's it, they're walking away and they're leaving. Goodbye. And just for those of you who are interested in our little assessment, these are two palish giraffe and they're in a group. So the experiment seems to be holding out. The experiment that says that giraffes on their own are normally darker than giraffes in a group because they are more risk takers. Yes, that's all I have to say about that. We're now going to continue east along this road. We're on the northern boundary. We're going towards the waterhole on the northeast of the reserve. There's a bit of blue sky up ahead, which is, well, quite remarkable. I'd forgotten what colour the sky was. I see it is still blue. And hopefully that means we'll be able to get on foot again sometime soon.
lions, despite being supervised here by the giraffe, they've gone into a grooming session. You can see both of them grooming each other. This we call it allo grooming, where they will groom each other, and this enhances the bond between the same species in the same family. We've seen such kind of interaction in also baboons, lions, sometimes even leopards, and even cheetahs sometimes. But this is commonly witnessed when you see lions walking around. See them rolling over, the sign of excitement, as they scan over to see what's around and what's going to be on their dinner menu. So I'm sure as soon as the giraffe walks away, they'll try and walk a different direction, because if they try walking right now, the giraffe will keep on falling. Look at that roll. Sign of excitement. They look strong, healthy, and these two definitely can bring down a big prey like a zebra or a wildebeest. Staring at the giraffe. Unfortunately, they've already been spotted, and so they have to ignore this giraffe. See, the one to the left is cleaning her paws and also cleaning her face. We can see here giraffes walking around. They've been running up and about, and in the background we can also hear some zebras calling in a very loud noise. Not sure if they've already detected or seen these lions. See, the giraffe is still staring, not giving up. She's been standing here for about more than 20 minutes. Look at her eyes. Look at the ears pointing forwards. So that is a sign of how we look for when we're looking for predators. So when you come across a giraffe and staring in that posture, ears pointing forward, sometimes they switch their tails both sides. See, that sign shows you that definitely they've seen something, and they don't move around. So they'll always stare. Look at how the ears are pointed forward and the eyes locked the target. The oxpeckers are unaware that this lion is watching something. Alma Khan, thank you so much for your question. Giraffes can be super fast. See their height, see the length of their legs. They can run for about 56 kilometers an hour. So from a very good distance, they can really outrun lions. So lions can bolt for about 55 kilometers an hour. So it's about a little bit faster because they have that length of the legs, long legs. So they can run about 56 kilometers an hour. While the giraffe is still staring, watching over the lionesses, the oxpeckers are busy grooming and cleaning her neck. Back to the lions, they're still waiting here. This is so interesting to see, and we're just going to wait here and watch these lions as they carry on grooming. I'm sure they'll soon carry on to find something to eat because they look like they want to hunt, as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
Well, here we have a dozen of zebra, and it all looks well, but if you investigate deeply, or if you look keenly, you will see all is not well. As they say, somebody walked through the eye of a needle. This guy has gone through a very, very rough time in the last 1 hour. I believe he got actually hunted by lions. He was down. He nearly got killed. You can see all the claw marks on the neck and on The lower neck, you can see it's swollen. Looks like the lion had bitten the jugular and the windpipe, the trachea. On the hind legs, you can tell that there is a very big chunk of meat that is hanging plus skin, and also on the close to the tail there, you can see the claw marks. So this guy has gone through a very, very rough time. Here in the plains is usually, for the lions, it is hunger, and for these guys is survival. So it was a battle between hunger and survival, and here looks like survival beat hunger. But I don't know if this guy is going to make it to be true, because that wound at the back is very, very serious. I hope it turns, and you can see there is a very big chunk of meat hanging. I don't know how much blood he has lost, but looks very, very bad, as you can see. Luckily, the tail is helping, so flies won't lay eggs in there, and so that it will accelerate the level of infection. But the more he hits it, the more it doesn't heal. You can tell the other zebras are almost being sympathetic, but I don't know what they can do to him. You can tell he's in sort of shock. He's not feeding. He's just standing there. I don't know what is going through his mind, but I feel sorry for him. But this is the life here. The other ear, if you will be able to see it, you can tell actually it's been chewed off slightly. So it means he must have been down, and one lioness or lion thought that he was going to die, and it had started chewing on the other ear. You see it? Father, it's been chewed slightly. Yeah, you can tell, he's trying to shake it so that flies don't, feed on it. I'll try and reposition and show you that back leg slightly, but it is very, very bad. Without disturbing him, I hope to, share with you that leg. Look at that. It is very, very bad and very serious. You can tell he cannot walk. These are the consequences of being prey to the lions. Look at that. It's really, really bad. Yeah. Those are claw marks. That's how, sharp they are, lion claw marks. You can tell already his walking is not normal. He's in great pain. All the muscles, all the tendons have been affected, and so walking is becoming a little bit of a problem. Sorry to say, but now this is walking dinner for hyenas. They get very excited when they see a certain kind of weakness like this. I feel sorry for him, but there's nothing I can do. And these are situations we cannot intervene. This young stallion to the right feels, I think, sorry, and trying to hide it from us. And he's just sort of actually like being sympathetic, feeling remorseful or sorry. Yeah, he better be careful, because when the hyenas come, they will go for these guys. I doubt if he's going to survive a couple of nights. This is really, really bad. Remember to talk to us. #WildEarth. Question, comments are very, very welcome. This is nature at its best. He tried to bite a little bit, but you can tell he is in shock. Yeah. Well, I will stay for a little bit, maybe 5 minutes with this guy, see what he's up to. And while I do that, let's see what other life safari vehicle has to offer for us.
That sounds really like a beastly situation for a zebra to find itself in. slashed by a lion, and no help in the offing. If there isn't a broken bone, though, it's possible the zebra will survive. What's happening here is the procreation of hippopotamus amphibius. We have got a big bull hippo standing upon the back of a cow hippo in an effort to enhance his genetic legacy.
Leaving Takana in charge of a sighting.
What's slightly disturbing is, of course, that everyone else is hanging around the area, just kind of watching. But that's just how it works in many animals. There is no privacy afforded nor wanted for the mating process. So that's what's going on there. Then, at the other side of the waterhole, we now have the arrival of a great bevy of Ngala bulls. And you see them there. Here they come. Probably going to have a drink. You see them, Impala? We will get there. We've just got to get past the pole. I'm beginning to think we could have gone without the pole today because it doesn't look like it's going to rain, but I could be entirely wrong. They are the most beautiful antelope, these things. Look how beautifully the white stripe sticks out. It really is obvious. And for those of you who have never seen it, that white stripe is a mantle of very long hair. Great huffing and puffing going on as the hippos continue their procreative activities. Lovely, peaceful afternoon here at the dam. I'm going to spend another 10 minutes here.
I cannot believe what we have been blessed with today. Ladies and gentlemen, to watch a cobra like this move about without us disturbing it is on another level. You hardly get to see snakes because, like I've mentioned, they're predated on by so many things. They're ectothermic organisms, so they're relying on the external environment for their body requirements, the heat requirements. And if it's too hot, that means they go in hiding. They hide a lot of the time. But watching this animal so active is such a treat. It is really, really special. We're just slowly behinding and making very slow movements. They pick up on movements, so if we move slowly behind it, it really doesn't pick up our presence. But what a remarkable animal. I was corrected, the snake's about 1.2, 1.3 meters, and the gentleman that's doing the research has caught 1.8 meters. Do snakes have good hearing? They actually don't have external eardrums. They have an internal ear, so hearing isn't really a good quality of theirs, but they can pick up vibration. So if I move really hard, the pressure and the vibration from my feet, that animal can pick that up. So no external hearing, not hearing as in sound like we hear, but picking up vibration. Let's sneak around this side. Come. So like I said, Tilo has caught cobras here at 1.8 meters. That is a very, very large snake. And this snake is active right now, busy looking for food. It's searching hole to hole, bush to bush, actively looking for its next meal. It's just had a meal. So it shows you the snake is hungry. Amazing, I can't believe this. So the question on those colour schemes, the variety of colours, I said, roughly 6. There could be way more than that. It is so varied across the board, it is actually frightening. It's also the mating period for Cape Cobras now. So this individual could have had a snack and now has decided maybe it's time to seek a partner. And that tongue will come into vital play. That's also how these snakes find each other, is by chemical clues left behind. Oh, there's birds coming in there, oh my word. So this is where the snake could get really lucky. There's an ant-eating chat coming in on the right-hand side. You can see the birds fluttering around in the bush there. Shaggy dog, the poison, the venom, is a very important tool on how the animal will subdue the prey item. So they can't just bite and swallow because the animal will still be alive. And when a snake consumes another organism, it eats it head first. So it consumes it from the head and then it swallows it down like that. So you want your meal to be motionless. And the venom that this snake has, neurotoxic, does just that. Neutralizes the animal, basically making it, neutralizes the animal, so there's no movement. And once there's no movement, the snake will then consume from the head all the way down. So biting, envenomating, and then consuming. It's a very important tool for these snakes. And it's also on how they can catch larger prey, because it's such a high potency that you only need a minuscule amount to kill something. That is incredible. Can we still see it there? It's inside the bush, and there were little ant-eating chats coming down. If the birds see the snake, then they'll give the alarm call. You'll find multiple birds will be drawn into this alarm call. Everybody knows there's a predator, and everybody will actively mob the snake to try and deter it out the way. You don't want to snake around where you don't know where it is. So that what they'll do is sit on the bushes. They'll actively watch the snake, and then their combined efforts will be a deterring factor for this predator. Wow. There's some nice birds there. Common scimitar bull also coming in, doing a bit of feeding. Great. We're going to look for the snake. We're going to send you off somewhere else.
So I know you just were looking at an incredible reptile, a Cape Cobra. That's something we don't get to see too often, or we certainly don't see them here, I don't think. But this Wahlberg's eagle is spectacular, and I was just wondering if they might eat a Cape Cobra, and I don't think that they would. It's a very venomous snake, very dangerous snake, and so are the other cobras and venomous snakes in this area. And as you can see, this eagle, well, you can't see it so easily, but this Wahlberg's eagle's legs are covered in feathers. And that means that it doesn't have scales up its legs that would protect itself from attack from venomous snakes that it might try and catch. It does eat a lot of reptiles, like lizards and agamas and geckos and anything that it might find, and maybe even non-venomous snakes. I don't know if it would know which is a non-venomous snake, but certainly it's equipped with weapons. You can just about see those very long talons which will be able to capture and kill any small prey, but that probably leaves the venomous snakes to the snake eagles, which have a little bit longer legs and scales all up the legs that act as a bit of armor, protecting them. So we had a question the other day, which I wasn't sure of the answer, which was how fast do Wahlberg's eagles fly? And now I couldn't find out what is the maximum speed that they fly. But I did read some very interesting information about one particular female Wahlberg's eagle that flew that was first found in Namibia, and it flew all over, covering about 8,000 kilometers in its migration from all the way in Senegal area, all the way down to southern Africa, and then back again. That's pretty amazing. 8,000 kilometers. And during that 8,000 kilometers of migration, its average speed was about 36 kilometers per hour. Isn't that amazing? 36 kilometers per hour. That's a fair speed when you're such a small animal. Not that it's a very small animal. For a bird, it's quite big. But still, if you drove a car at, just 36 kilometers an hour in a straight line. We could cover quite a lot of distance. Well, you cover 36 kilometers in an hour, I suppose. Oh, yawning. It's been a tough evening, you know, with all that wind. If this bird's trying to perch up there in that wind and the storm and the lightning, probably didn't get a whole lot of sleep. I can't see the second of the pair, although undoubtedly it's somewhere nearby, maybe even sitting on the nest. Beach bunny, I love eagles too. They are some of my very favorite of all the birds. My very favorite bird is called a black-winged kite. It's not an eagle, but it's a similar shape and lifestyle. I actually saw a Wahlberg's eagle catch and eat one once, which was quite traumatic for me. But the Wahlberg's eagle, I think, is really cool because it's one of the smallest of the eagles, and so it needs to be quite aggressive in defending itself from others because it will be bullied by the larger eagles like martial eagles and tawny eagles. So it kind of has to stand up for itself. There's a few other birds just nearby, some arrow-marked babblers that are making a bit of noise. They don't like that the eagle is sitting up there because perhaps the babblers have some youngsters. And Wahlberg's eagles do definitely eat birds, as well as reptiles and small mammals. There's a giraffe also coming off to our right, which is quite lovely. So as all the animals are coming to join us at this Wahlberg's eagles nesting site. And that's pretty awesome. So the giraffe is a bit too big for the Wahlberg's eagle to think of as a meal. But certainly maybe the oxpeckers that would follow a giraffe could potentially be a snack. I think it's this exact giraffe. He has very pale, young male giraffe. He's got very thick ossicones or horns with bald patches on top. So he's quite young. He's still got quite a lot of fur on the sides of his horns. And this one got a bit of a fright when the hippo ran to the waterhole a bit earlier. And then ran off and then stopped and turned around and looked at the hippo, and a bit of a staring contest for a while. He's obviously decided that he's going to move off. What a gorgeous golden giraffe, though. Very different to the other giraffe, which we see here frequently. Tall, dark, and handsome. Although we haven't seen him recently. I think I saw him yesterday, but I can't be sure. I would have to have Seb with me to double check. It was a bit of a distance, but I hope we do find TDH again soon because he is absolutely gorgeous.
We are having a very entertaining time over here with our hippo, largely because it's quite farcical what seems to be going on here. We've got these two hippos in flagrante delicto, and the male keeps nodding off, so his eyes shut, and then he wakes up and he starts making some fairly obscene grunting noises, and then he drops off again. Oh, it's all finished. It's all over.
Come in.
Oh. I don't know if you can hear that call. Gawk! Gawk! That was the bachelor flying past. Yeah. Oh, still calling.
Your call. Charles, did you copy that?
I copied on someone, Gary, mate.
Louise, no, I don't think they ever breathe in water. I don't think that ever happens. They're very skilled in the water, and they therefore know when to keep their mouths shut and open them up again. I suspect they have control over their throats that probably allows them to let water into the mouth and not swallow it, but I'm not sure exactly of the mechanics of a hippo's throat. But I seriously doubt they ever breathe in water. Oh, look. Mpo, as quick as you can, to the end of that big fallen tree there. There's a bright yellow bird on the end of it. Looks like a lesser masked, at least a greater masked, southern masked weaver. No, can't see its eye properly. But it's the first one I've seen in its breeding plumage here. I've seen a couple in Johannesburg. That's what it is. Looks like a lesser masked weaver. Looks like it's got the pale eye. And they built hundreds of nests here last year. It was just lovely to watch. Got some beautiful pictures of them doing that. Anyway, he's gone. I just thought I'd show you that. All right, well, I think the peace of this wonderful waterhole is going to lull me to sleep if we don't move forward. So I think we'll move on from here and see what else this reserve has to offer us. For those of you who know him, Tingana, the male leopard, is sitting on Buffelshoek, which is the reserve to the north of us. He is currently mating with the one-eyed pirate leopardess, Nsele. Dragon Lady, the gestation period of a hippopotamus is 8 months. So it is quite interesting as far as gestation periods go, because a hippo is obviously massive, huge animal, and its gestation period is less than ours as human beings. And by ours, I do mean women. I will never experience a gestation period of any kind, I don't think. The reason for that is that the babies can be born fairly altricial because they are protected by the water. I suspect there are other reasons to it, but I have yet to read what they are. On we go from the waterhole. I think we'll go left. Yes, we will. Whee! See what we can find around the corner here. See if we can get a view of those bachelors.
Just gone down that little hole. She must have moved now about 100 or so meters. Very, very active. So just on the last question there, snakes use venom to overpower their prey. It's a very quick and effective way to subdue prey. And then once the prey is subdued, it will consume it head to tail, let's say it that. And then with the hearing, they don't actually pick up airborne sounds very well. They have an inner ear, they don't have an external ear or ear opening, but they pick up vibrations. So myself and Glenn, while following this beautiful creature, we've had to tread very, very lightly, because if it picks up the vibration from our feet, it'll find the nearest hole, it'll pick up speed, and down the hole it will go. But remarkable, what a treat it was to see the Cobra from yesterday and then talk about these varying color schemes that we have here. And then today, to see this amazing creature. And it's all due to the weather right now. It's a beautiful day. It's not hot, it's not cold, it's a little bit muggy. But the cloud covering allows the snake to move around at this time. Otherwise, if it was too hot, that snake would be either in a hole or in a bush, regulating its internal core temperature. So if it's exposed to the sun, and if it doesn't find shade, the body temperature will increase until the snake would die. So a snake's got to be very careful. You know, if you come around to Africa, you don't just see snakes everywhere. They are very shy. They've got to be clever on how and what they do. So we're going to wait here quietly, and hopefully this lovely snake will come back out. And it is a female, because our research a little system.
Sorry about that. Don't know what happened. Think you came from Tswalu, from what I understand. Anyway, the desert obviously not playing ball. Again, I'm most relieved that I wasn't mouthing off about something I shouldn't have been, or uttering obscenities, as has happened before. Anyway, we've just left the waterhole. We're looking around. We saw the bachelors, but they were too far away to get a view of, and so we're just trundling along now, hoping for some tracks of a leopard. I will also tell you that Tundi has also been found, and she's on Torchwood, which is the reserve to the east of us. And so the leopards we could hope to find here would be the Tundi's son, who's as yet unnamed, and possibly Tlalamba.
This snake could potentially be looking for another meal, and just to clarify what I was talking about with the dental structure, this snake would have a small fang that's situated in the front of its jaw, and that fang is unable to move, and that is possessed by these cobra-like species, this whole family. Then we have other snakes that have a front fang, but it's hinged, so if this is the snake's head, the fang lays back alongside the jaw, and when it strikes, this fang gets pushed out and obviously pointed at potential prey. That'll be possessed by things like an adder, so the most prominent one would be a puff adder, and then we have a fang structure called back-fanged. Oh, just a little check just in case it's coming out. There it is. She's come out another hole. Do you see her there, Glenn, on the right-hand side of the camel thorn? It's come out the hole. So it went down this hole on our left-hand side, and it's come out at a totally different hole. Let's move up a little bit, Glenn. So that other fang structure will be back-fanged, which would be set quite far back in the dental structure. There she comes. Sorry, FC, there was a bit of a breakup. Can you go with that question again, please? And so those back fangs will be possessed by things like a boomslang or a vine snake. It's not set very far back, but it's just further back. Oh, my word. Ian, very good question. How can we tell the sex of a snake? So with the males, they would have a shorter tail than that of the females, and then also if you look very far towards the end of the tail, the male would be quite thick because the male reproductive organs. So towards the end of the tail, males will be shorter, and then also a little bit thicker around or towards the end of the tail. They've got a penis that's introverted, so it's pulled into the body, and only when it's the right time is it pushed out. And reptiles possess something called the hemipenis. Not all reptiles have, lizards predominantly. It's actually 2 appendages, and only one of those appendages will be used at a time to mate. There's many theories on why they
So, we have found this. Batman. Not Batman. As you can see, this is an owl, or maybe you can't see that it's an owl, it's very far away. That is a Verreaux's eagle owl, and it's got its ear tufts up. They're not really ears, those are just little tufts of feathers that go up on its head to make it more blending in to the dead tree that it's sitting in. So it looks a bit like a broken tree stump or a log. There's 2 of them. This is a very large one, and I think if I understand correctly that female owls are bigger than males. So this is a very large one, and there's a slightly smaller one that has flown off into another tree. It's a bit too far. We can't see it. I mean, you can see the silhouette of it, but you won't really know what it is. And that's the whole point of this owl having that camouflage, because you can see it, but you just think it's part of the log. And now The reason why they have that is because they get harassed by other birds. Of course, they eat all sorts of small critters, and they'll also eat other birds that they find at night. So many eagles have been caught. In fact, the Verreaux's eagle owl has been known to catch and kill eagles at night up to the size of Wahlberg's eagles. So, of course, the Wahlberg was not happy. So just now, this owl flew into the tree. That's how we saw it, or that's at least how we knew where it was. And the Wahlberg's eagle came and landed on another tree very close by and was in full battle posture. We actually tried to put it on frame for you all, but it flew away before we could. But it literally had its wings open and its neck was stretched out, and it was really showing off to this owl to say, listen, I can see you and I'll defend myself and my nest. It was really, really quite awesome. So these owls were not trying to hunt. It's the middle of the day. They're just trying to remain, hidden. So they often get harassed by small birds and squirrels and all sorts of stuff during the day. And they're very patient, though. They always say owls are very wise, but they must be patient, too, because sometimes you can see dozens of small birds just dive-bombing them and squawking and screeching and making all sorts of noise to try and chase the owls off. And they just sit there, they close their eyes, and they stay motionless. And eventually the birds all just give up and move on, which is quite clever. Now, the reason you can identify this owl as a Verreaux's eagle owl, if it would turn its head towards us, it's very difficult to tell at this distance, but it's got pink eyelids, which is quite awesome. It almost looks like it's turned its eyelids inside out. I know you all tried that when you were younger. You can't see it. It's just a bit too far, but you can just about see those little pink eyelids. They're looking straight at us. What a gorgeous bird. And those pink eyelids are the distinctive characteristic of this particular owl. That's how you know exactly which one it is. It's just sitting there looking around because it's just flown into the tree. So it's just making sure that there's nothing for it to be afraid of before it tries to actually sleep. Because if it sleeps and there's a snake or lots of other birds nearby, it could be harassed again. So it's just having a good look around to make sure that it's safe. Very powerful bird. You can see it's got a sharp bill there, and its talons are incredibly strong. And it's got a huge wingspan. I think this bird is, if I'm correct, somewhere around 60 centimeters tall. I mean, for an owl, a night bird, that's pretty amazing. I mean, for any bird, really, that's quite a big bird. And its wingspan is shorter than most eagles, but still pretty wide, probably over a meter, its wingspan. So that's pretty amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen a Verreaux's eagle owl in real life up close, but we often find them when we're on bushwalks, walking especially along rivers. And they hide in those big trees with the green canopies. And when they fly out, you always get such a huge shock because you just never realize just how big their wingspan is. But I tell you, their wings are a strange shape, though. Most eagles have long, broad wings. These Verreaux's eagle owls, and all the owls, in fact, have very round wings. So big and round, and that helps them to fly and be accelerating much quicker, and also have a slower flight when they need to. Rifki, I think they're called eagle owls purely because of the size, because they are just absolutely massive. So I'm just double checking my facts here, and it does say they are 62 centimeters tall. So that's massive. I mean, most of the other owls that we get in this area are probably not much more than about 40, 30 centimeters for the larger owls, and then for the very small owls, probably only, in the 20 centimeters range. So, I mean, this owl is massive. It's a huge thing. I mean, 62 centimeters, if I were to stand up, that's basically almost up to my hips, or not my hips, but like the middle of my thigh. So that's a massive bird. And it looks even bigger when it's got its ear tufts up like that. That's not counting the ear tufts. That adds probably another 5 centimeters onto it, which is a lot if you're a bird. And they're just like the other owls, able to fly silently, like super, super quietly. I still have that bird feather, the owl feather. I don't know if I can reach it though. But just like the other owls, they've got soft feathers, or the edges of the feathers anyway. Almost looks like they're covered in a little downy fur, and they're very, very soft and fluffy on the end, which allows the wind to pass over the feathers without causing any ruffles. So I'll hold it up here for Seb. I don't know if he's going to be able to get it here. I mean, I'm asking him to go a long way. As you can see here, I don't think this is a feather from a Varro's eagle owl. I think this is from a spotted eagle owl. But you can see here, it's covered in this sort of like fluff. See all along there, which helps it to be very, very quiet when flight. Oh, wow, look at that. We're super close. And you can see the edges of the feather also very, very soft, very, very fine edges, so that when the wind passes over it, it doesn't create ruffles. It just sort of folds neatly against the wind. So that's pretty fantastic about these birds. And it's something quite unique to the owls as far as I'm aware. I don't think that it is commonly found in many of the other birds. And that's because owls need to be very, very still when they are, well, they need to be very quiet when they are hunting. They need to be able to fly silently because they use their hearing more than anything else to catch the prey when they're hunting. They sit in a tree just like this one's doing now, and they will listen. They'll cock their head from left to right. You'll see them, and their ears are slightly off-center. And then when they hear the sound, they're able to pinpoint the sound using those slightly off-center ears. And then their eyesight obviously helps quite a lot if it's a full moon night, let's say. And then what they can do is, as they glide down to their prey, a mouse snuffling around in the grass making noise, they're able to keep hearing that mouse the whole time when they're flying closer. So even on a pitch black night, they're able to pinpoint and catch that mouse without using their eyesight at all until the very, very last second. So I think that's pretty fantastic. And that's why I think owls are amazing creatures. A lot of people have the owls as their favorite bird, and it's no wonder why, because they are absolutely wonderful. Especially these absolutely massive eagle owls. Let's hope we can find a spotted eagle owl next. Wouldn't that be amazing?
The eagle owls are super nice, especially when you see them hunting. Now, we have lionesses as almost hunting. They're on the hunting move. Look at that posture. They've closed in the gap. They're at least advancing towards the zebras and the wildebeest out there. So at least here they're concealed. So one of them is just walking to the right. They have good cover from the bushes there. And at least they'll need to walk a little bit further close to the prey. Look at that lioness there. She's slowly walking towards them, and as soon as she positions herself, this other lioness advances following her. They have to stop and scan. This helps them isolate prey, because sometimes in these big herds you find that there are young ones, there are those that are sick, those are that are lame, injured, old, and those will be prime target when lions are stalking. And if not, they will isolate one of them and then advance. Sometimes because it's a big herd, then you happen to see each and every individual lion here might go after their prey. And if one misses out, then they have to share if the other one has got something. It's a very good distance, so we're actually downwind. They're very smart. They walked around. The giraffe gave away because they actually crossed over a creek. It's a little bit marshy there, so this tells you that animals were coming to drink and have a good grazing ground here, and that's the prime target where these lions have decided to walk to. She's still walking. Look at how she's crouched, closing the gap. And good thing she has good cover there, so she'll get closer and closer to the zebras and wildebeest. She has to do it patiently. She doesn't want to be detected at all. Look at how she's slowed down her pace, because one of the zebras is actually watching this direction. This is so much to lose, and I'm sure she has to do it patiently and perfectly. While this other one is still watching, she's watching the other one move, and I'm sure she'll just walk. And as soon as that zebra ignores and carries on grazing, that lioness will carry on advancing. Yes, the zebra is now grazing, and I'm sure a lion will be on the move again. So remember, we're coming to you live, #WildEarth. Our young viewers, kids questions at WildEarth.tv, on the YouTube comment section at FC. Send us your questions, and we're ready to answer them as we wait for these lions to make a kill or maybe an action. Let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
Well, there's nothing stalking these things, and yet it is completely invisible. Anyway, here is a lovely Impala herd, and they are sitting beneath a sky that has turned lots of very attractive shades of grey on account of the fact that the sun came out very briefly. We basked in it for at least 10 seconds. And so attractive was the scene that I thought to myself, I think we'll stop right here at these Impala. And also, there was the lovely sound of the Coqui Franklin and also the Shelley's Franklin. One going, that was the Coqui Franklin, in case you were wondering. And the other one going, and that was the Shelley's Franklin. Thank you very much in advance for your kind compliments on my fantastic bird calls. Thank you. And Paul doesn't know if I'm being serious or not. I am. I'm wondering if we should go back and check on the hyena den that we were at this morning. See if anything's happening over there. So lovely and peaceful sitting here. Quite happily take out a deck chair and a glass of fine malt whiskey and sip it quietly as the sun sets on this lovely scene.
We are sitting here with these two lionesses, and we actually moved back a little bit. You can see our tire marks on the road there because that one lioness was falling asleep right next to us. And we just wanted to give them some space, but they are really falling asleep. But they were actually quite active early on, keeping an eye on some zebras and so that was walking there in the distance. But now both of them are out cold, this nice cool weather, so they don't really need to move into the thick areas. They can just fall asleep right here in the open. And these two lionesses, quite interesting. The two sub-adults, like I said earlier, and they have they've been away from the pride actually for quite a while, and they've been hunting by themselves, but I don't know how successful they've been, because when they were standing up earlier we could see that they were nice and skinny, and they were not full from anything that they've caught recently, but they were definitely trying earlier, but so inexperienced. Super inexperienced. Ryan, you are asking if lions can kill a giraffe. Of course they can. They can, though they potentially can hunt anything that they set their mind to. These two females are actually part of a pride that is known to take down female giraffes and younger giraffe on Phinda. And they've been on a few giraffe carcasses over the time. It's not common that they go for giraffe because they are such big animals and the potential of getting injured is quite big. But these two by themselves, I don't think they'll be going for a giraffe by themselves, but they'll be really interested in maybe a youngster. But if they've got the rest of the pride with them or some of the older individuals, then you might see them try their luck. Giraffe luckily are very slow compared to a lion, so that's one thing that plays is advantageous for lions. But is
it's very lucky that you caught me right now, because up until exactly 3 seconds ago, I was standing up in my seat, waving at Tswalu with a gesture that, you know, if you didn't know the relationship that Tswalu and I have, you might have considered quite rude. But it wasn't rude. Anyway, we are now going down into the valley of the great Ummalawamamamamati drainage. And we'll see what we can find up here.
Never did be mine.
As the great Ummalawamamamati river has not started to flow just yet. Not quite enough rain, although there will be water underneath the ground, filtering nicely through the sand. Tracks of a kudu, I think. A wildebeest, no? Oh, David, you want to know what animal Olympic sport I would like to see? I really think 100 meters sprint would be exceptionally entertaining, especially if there's a bit of a handicap. So between all the big cats, lion, leopard, tiger, cheetah, jaguar, yeah, those 5. Look at this bird. Just swing very slowly, it's gone. It saw that Paul looking at it and got up and moved. It was a little spotted thickney. Anyway, I think it would be quite fun to watch those cats race 100 meters, especially the big ones. And maybe I'd like to see it with cheetah kind of starting 30 to 40 meters back and seeing if it could.
Now our lioness closed the gap. See how she's yawning right straight there. None of the zebras or the wildebeest have seen them. So this is still too far, yet too close. So they have to carry on moving or advancing towards the wildebeest and the zebra. Good thing they have cover in front of them, so these zebras cannot see them. And also the wildebeest, they're all grazing. They're reluctant, they're not sure what's going on around here. So that is how the rule of nature plays. So you have to use this cover to conceal yourself so that you can get food. But sometimes they end up missing or failing to get whatever they are going for. So going behind the bushes there, you can see this area is surrounded by game. They have plenty of choice, but it's so difficult and hard for them to just walk out in the open. So they have to surprise the prey when they're going for a hunt. That is the reason why they're walking, stopping, going around behind bushes. And sometimes these bushes, we have a species of antelope called the reedbuck. They love resting or hiding themselves in the bushes. They are nocturnal, so you find them eating or grazing in the night. So when these lions are walking through the bushes, sometimes they flush them off and they can get them as dinner. So our lionesses are behind this bush. Zebras and wildebeest are not far. Look at how close we are. Yet this is too far for them. At least they have to get to a very close distance within about 30 meters so that they can advance. Some of these might be a lot suspicious, especially we've seen 2 zebras looking, but they are not sure whether they were only watching a termite mound or maybe it was a lion moving. Because the sun is setting behind us and this game is watching or looking where the sun is setting, and because of that light sometimes they might have a disadvantage, as these lions might take that advantage to advance toward them. They're all relaxed, grazing, so these lionesses have a choice. They might either go for the young one or maybe an adult. It depends on how the game will play. Slowly they've been walking. See, one of them is just walking towards the lions. They're not unaware that these lions are here. So let's wait, cross our fingers for the lions, because these lions look like they are nursing. Lions don't really scavenge, but when they get to an opportunity, they might scavenge. They're opportunistic, so it doesn't really matter if there is a hyena kill or not. But let's say, for example, hyenas come across here and they get to kill one of the wildebeest or the zebra. So they'll do what we call kleptoparasitism, where one predator takes over another predator's food. And sometimes they can scavenge if food is scarce. Not always that they can scavenge, but they can scavenge if there's an opportunity. I think our zebras have seen or located the lions because they look quite alert. The zebras are up to the front. So let's wait here and see what will unfold as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
Okay, so we let that beautiful animal be. It was moving, we didn't disturb it at all. It didn't even know that we were there. That's the crazy thing. That was by far one of my most memorable sightings. Watching a Cape Cobra like that is just magical. Seeing it move, how it operates, what it's doing, why it's doing it is incredible. It's also intriguing for me. Just in there, you can see I was speaking very softly, and I mentioned that they don't actually pick up airborne particles very well. It's just my guiding style. We're in the bush and you have to be quiet because it's intriguing. And if you're quiet, you can pick up everything else around you. But thanks for the questions. That's amazing. While walking back here, we found something else. Look at that. So this is the remnants. It is unfortunately dead. And this is the exoskeleton of a beautiful arthropod called a millipede. I remember you guys saw millipede somewhere a couple of days ago, but this is the exoskeleton of this beautiful creature. Remarkable, remarkable creature. In South Africa, we also call them 1,000 legs, or a duisendpote, 1,000 legs, and it literally looks like it's got 1,000 legs. But a remarkable, remarkable animal. Typically eating plant matter, decaying plant matter, like under logs or under shrubbery. That's what they eat. They are herbivores. And the most amazing thing is, I hope you guys heard that a big swarm of social weavers just went past us, all chattering. Really incredible. So this guy is a herbivore eating plant matter, and the legs are what is really intriguing about this animal. It's not categorized into the true insect family. Insects have 3 body parts: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. So a front, middle, and a back section. This animal has an elongated tube, but it's still categorized as an arthropod because its legs are physically joined They join and they move in that motion. But really incredible to see this creature. We also call them, in South Africa, also call them shongololos. Very funny word. But we find them over here, and I've found ones that must be, so that's 10, maybe at about 15 centimeters. Huge ones. And a remarkable creature to find. We normally find these exoskeletons, especially the rings like this over here, in front of scorpion burrows. And we will be looking at scorpions. Tswalu has 9 different scorpion species, and they are also an intricate part of this ecosystem, allowing things to be killed and also becoming prey. And what happens over here is that we would normally find these rings outside the burrow system of these scorpions. So a question was asked there, does a millipede have bones? No, they don't have bones. They've got this exoskeleton, and then with this exoskeleton, it is part of their framework. And then they've got muscles attached to various parts of this skeletal structure. Same as an insect. If an insect had to die, and its body had to deteriorate, all the inner bits, all the visceral mass, let's say it at that. If that insect had to die, we can pick it up and we can look inside. It's totally hollow. So inside the insect's body, you'll have the body shell itself, and then you'll have attachment of muscles inside that are able to obviously move body parts around. You'll have everything bathed within a soup of blood. Insects are remarkable creatures, and a component that drives all systems around the world, especially the small ones and ones we don't like termites and ants. Those are the big, what we refer to as ecosystem engineers. They actually stimulate the flow of energy within an environment like this over here. So these guys play an important role. When we do, and hopefully we do, find an insect, and it's called an assassin bug, there is a specific insect that solely predates on millipedes and nothing else. How about that? So think about the vital structural components. If you remove one insect out, it has an effect on various organisms across the board. So protecting them and look after them and appreciating them is very, very important. But look at that. Look at these segments. This is what we normally find outside of the burrow system of these scorpions. And we have some pretty nasty. There we go. Look at that. Oh, wow. Look at that. So this material that this exoskeleton is made out of is a very, very hardy material, and something that's given rise to the movement or the distribution of insects is this hardy outer exoskeleton. A very, very hardy material. It protects the insects from elements like external, the environment, and as well as from predators. The single thing about this and how we're going to recognize this insect is its cylindrical body. You can see over there. Nice and cylindrical. And then if we look underneath, I'm actually going to, Glenn, can I come up to you quickly? All right. Just hold on 1 second, because I think we need to get nice and close on this to really see it. Where we can find where the joints would have been attached to the body for their legs. 2 legs per segment. And if you look there very, very closely, you're going to physically see 2 holes on the segment, 2 holes on the segment, 2 holes on the segment. So, that would have been its bum. That would have been the end of this beautiful millipede. I get mixed up sometimes and my brain likes to play tricks on me. Same as that question that was asked about that Cape Cobra. I spoke to Tilo, and my knowledge, I was just taking my knowledge and practically applying it. With puff adders, it is very easy to recognize male and female, because the male does have a shorter tail than that of the female. With cobras, it is a bit tricky. You have to work with cobras to know what you're looking for, and the male is thicker. So if this was the Cape Cobra, the male is a little bit thicker. It's got a bulbous section where that hemipenis would be situated. And working with the snakes over a period of time, you would be able to recognize it. But very, very, very tricky too. Puff adders, like I said, a lot easier. But amazing creature. I love finding small little things like this. This just drives me to another level. So please, you guys have any questions, don't hesitate. #WildEarth.
Well, I'm here with a beautiful young bull elephant, and sort of got a little bit scared, but now he's got comfortable with me. Yeah, very busy eating in the star grass. Quite different from everything else they've been eating. He's accompanied by others, but they're hiding in the bushes so we can't see them. He's quite a young bull. Look at his back, it's almost straight. It's another way of telling if it's a male or female. Remember, these animals are very abundant here in the Mara. We have no shortage of them. Usually they tend to disappear when the wildebeest come because they don't like the noise and maybe the smell, so they usually keep away from the wildebeest. And these guys have tucked themselves in this corner of the Mara where there is no wildebeest or zebra in sight, and I think that's the reason they know that they are safe over here. Look at how flexible that trunk is, how it uses it to wrap around grass and then pull it. Mind you, when they pull the grass with, a bit of mud in it, they will chop off the muddy part and drop it, or the soil part, and so it drops, so they never swallow that, or they never chew it. Looks like he was drinking earlier. That's why his trunk is all wet and a bit of his mouth, and also he looks very bloated. It's that drink that maybe he took a while back. These guys have got very good sense of hearing, so I'm sure he can hear me talking from where I am. The ear is not actual. It is the ear, but the ear hole is very, very small. Bungay will be able to show you. It's on the front side of the ear over there. If you zoom in there, Bungay, you will see it. It's very, very tiny, but the big part of the ear is what channels all the sound into the ear, so it's a very small hole. The ear actually has got very thin skin. It's the one that does the job of cooling the elephant in the day, because all the blood is pumped through the ear to cool off. There is another one that is quite in the bushes. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. Dear watcher Jumbo, you want to know if baby elephants ever suckle with their trunks? No. They suckle directly with their mouths, with their lips. They usually fold the trunk upwards to access the teat, which is usually and always in the middle of front legs. So they never use the trunk to suckle. They might use the trunk to locate the teats in the first few weeks when they're young, and then they use the lips to hold it, to hold the nipple and suckle. Look how many flies are here. Whoa, that is a lot of flies. I cannot tell you when they're flying like this who they are, but this is a lot of flies. That's because we have an advantage. We are against the light, so we can see them flying. I don't know if all of them are flies or some of them are seeds that are being dispersed by wind. I'm not very sure, but that's quite a sight to see. Yeah, that elephant there is settled in that patch. I think the grass there is very, very soft and he's loving it. It's another bull. Yes, bulls start associating in small bachelor herds of up to 3 to 5, and then the herds get bigger with time. Sometimes you get to see more than 10 to 18. They stick together until they reach maturity at the age of around 33. That's when they're really allowed to mate, and that's when they're really big enough to intimidate other bulls so that they can get a chance to mate. Otherwise, if they're not that big, they're not big enough, they won't be able to have a chance to mate. These two, I think they're keeping each other company. Maybe there is more. I don't see anybody else around here, but it doesn't mean that there are only two. There could be more. Let me move slightly forward. There could be more in the bushes. Let's see if we can find some more. Well, the light once again is very, very beautiful. It's what we call photographers' best light. Look at this. We're gonna look at this young guy. And as I stay here, let's see what's happening in another live location.
Elephants are interesting to watch, and also lions can be super interesting, especially when they're stalking. Now our lioness has come to an open space, probably walking. They wanted to go circle and go closer towards these wildebeest, which are not far from where we are. Our second lioness has split up, maybe wants to go a different direction. She's just walking behind the bushes. Look at how these wildebeest and zebras are unaware of the lion's presence. It's so interesting when yet you know there's danger looming, but some of these are unaware. See, they're enjoying the sun. Very good lighting there as the sun is setting. So the lions are getting active. It's quite cool. A very favorable weather for the lions to stalk, which is an interesting thing to see. She's decided to turn around and maybe walk behind us, see if she can locate or get closer to these wildebeest that are coming. So she's watching her sister now. And these two are very coordinating. See, one stops to check on the other sister as she carries on with the hunt. So she's slowly creeping over on the grass. See how she's walking though. She has to make herself not visible by this wildebeest. She's just gone behind the bushes. So slowly she'll be walking out of those bushes to another bush. So she's taking advantage of all these bushes scattered around here. Neil, thank you for your comment. Beautiful indeed. You can hardly tell if there's lions around here. Look at this wonderful scenery here. We have lions, we have zebras and wildebeest, and that is the art of stalking. That is the art of behind it, because for them to locate food and to get prey, they have to use or to utilize their art and experience. She's still quietly seated. So remember, we're coming to you live, hashtag WildEarth. For young viewers, kids question at wildearth.tv, on the YouTube comment section at FC. As we wait for these lions to slowly walk towards the wildebeest and the zebra, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
And I think that my little bee eater here is stalking some bees. Not unlikely. It's been so quiet on Djuma today. In fact, James and I might be the only people on Djuma. Everyone's off into Torchwood. They've got Tandi, they've got Tingana and Buffelshoek. So we're just driving around, just enjoying the sights and the sounds and the smells of that damp, moist ground and vegetation. And we come across this little beauty. It is a little bee eater, everyone. The smallest bee eater. And a very, very pretty one. Why bee eater? Because they like to eat bees. They're great if you want to take photographs of birds because they often will fly away but come back to the same perch they were using or very close by. So if you want to take a photo and you want to be at the right place at the right time, this is a good bird. How gorgeous are the colors. My favorite part of it is the very, very tiny bit of blue that I call eyeshadow in the appropriate place above the eyes. I think it's very, very pretty. This one is being very good to us. Oh, hearing updates about Tingana is just torture. I would love to see him before our stint ends. I've only seen these guys, or live at least, catch a bee once and eat it. It's quite an interesting thing to watch because, of course, you know that bees have stings, or at least the female bees have stings, which is an interesting note because a stinger is a modified ovipositor. So males of Hymenoptera do not possess stings. So if you see a male wasp, they're not going to be able to sting you. You see a male bee, it's not going to be able to sting you. But then you've also got to be able to be very good at distinguishing your male and female Hymenopteras. Let's wait, maybe it'll come back. You can do it. You can do it. No. Well, like I said, I've seen it happen once where it's caught a bee and then it rubs the stinging bit against the branch and then it gobbles it up. A really, really nice sight. I was hoping that this one would do it for us, but just to see how pretty it was enough.
Well, I've decided to stay a little bit longer with this bull here because he's all by himself and looks like he has earned his independence and he's utilizing as much as possible. Elephants this size have got no potential enemies here in the Mara. By that I mean there is enough for lions for them not to go for this size elephants. Other places, other countries, we have big prides that can go for this size elephants. But over here, he is very immune. He doesn't have any enemies, and so he's very comfortable being by himself. And where he is, there's only small prides, so they're not big enough to be able to wrestle him down. Already he's a good 2 tons, so he's big enough not to be brought down by, let's say, 5 or 6 lionesses. We'd like to share with you the sunset that is just about to happen. It has gone behind the Olololo, and looks like there is a baboon peeping there. You will see it in the silhouette facing to the right. I don't know if you see the face of a baboon there. You see the top of the head of a baboon. It's really cool. Hope you enjoy that. It's super cool. Here in the Mara, we're very close to the equator, and so our time never changes. Our sunrise and sunset only changes for about 30 minutes throughout the year. So we have a 12-hour day and a 12-hour night, which is perfect. And right now, the sun is almost going to say goodbye to us. I hope you're loving that. It's really cool. The birds where I am have sort of gone quiet. I don't know if they ate too much and so they went to sleep early. I cannot hear any. Maybe I'll take a quiet moment and let's see if we can pick up one or two. Not really, they're quite at a distance. Yeah, thank you for appreciating this. It is amazing, thank you. Well, it's very quiet. The birds here haven't been very vocal for some reason. I can hear some, but quite a long way. Remember, this is live. It's coming live from the Masai Mara, East Africa, Kenya. And it is around 18:30 p.m., 6:30, and the temperature is starting to drop. It never freezes here, but it does get chilly. You need to have a jumper in the next about 20 minutes because it cools down and can get windy, so you need a jumper, but it never freezes. Yeah. Questions and comments are still welcome. We still have time to answer them. My elephant is still very busy, enjoying the grass, not having a care in the world. The beginning of a very long life that he's going to have. And he's very comfortable there where he is all by himself. Yeah, the wagging on the tail means that he's very, very relaxed. He's got nothing to worry about. I'm sure there is communication between him and the others that are to my left, but in the trees we cannot see them. Every now and then we do pick them up, breaking a tree or two, and then you can tell that this guy has turned to the left. Maybe he has been told, come closer. Those are humans. Don't trust them. But don't you worry, young guy. We mean no harm to you. Well, he's trying to park as much as possible because he needs to get big. Here in the Mara, we do have a good number of elephants. I cannot tell you the number, but I estimate it's over 3,000. And they are doing really, really well. Elephants breed year-round. They don't have a specific season, especially here where there's abundance of food. They live for about, as long as humans live, about 70 years. Maturity for the females is around 13, and for the males is around 30. So the males wait much longer. Well, you must know that this is the animal with the longest gestation period, about 22 months. It carries its young one, and at birth, the young one weighs around 120 kilos. That is a very big baby, or a very big calf. I'm gonna stick here, watch this guy for a little bit longer as I enjoy the sunset.
I'd love to see a sunset once again, especially in the Masai Mara. We've come to the den site that we spent 3 hours at this morning, and Ribbon is still here with her 2 babies. Now, interestingly, Michael Fleetwood pointed out that she has, in fact, had a cub here before. Tima, the cub, spent a lot of time here. So thank you for that, Michael. Michael, one of our resident hyena experts. It's all very peaceful and very pleasant here. Temperature's good. Animals are relaxed. Certainly much more relaxed than they were this morning, when things were looking a little rough. Very sweet little things. And they've got a nice old bone to play with there. Not sure who it belonged to. Looks like a buffalo. They could have brought it there themselves, but I think it was there when they arrived. So my guess would be that it may have been a porcupine that took it there. Porcupines will gnaw on bones and live in termite mounds. Oh, they look so cuddly, don't they? I doubt they are. I didn't get that name, I'm afraid. Gwyn, can we have it again? Damathala. Damaphala. Damapala or Damaphala. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. You can tell they're male or female only by having a look at the penis or pseudo-penis. So I don't know how much you know about their anatomy, but the spotted hyena looks almost like a hermaphrodite. And the females have got a very long pseudo-penis, which looks exactly like a penis, but for the end thereof. And the end of a penis is quite pinched, and the end of a pseudo-penis isn't. And I think these are two boys, as far as I can tell. I haven't managed to see evidence to the contrary. I don't think. But I must confess, when I was looking at them the other day, I thought to myself how it seemed like all the cubs at the den were young boys. And so it might be that I'm just not viewing it properly. And I think you'll probably find that some of our viewers who've spent a bit longer with these cubs will be able to give you a better idea. Hyenas are not dangerous unless they are threatened. And especially in the day, if I got out the car now, the mum would run away and the two cubs would go into a hole, and that would be that. They become relatively dangerous to human beings, especially in situations where you're camping at night. And there are horrific stories of spotted hyenas pulling people out of their tents at night, face first. And so I wouldn't like to come across a hyena at night, certainly not out of a camp situation, and I wouldn't like to have one come into my room at night, because if they find you asleep, they can be very dangerous. There's quite a game going on now. It looks quite sore. These two often have lovely games, especially when they start running around. Their mother is disinterested in what they're doing. They all must be so relieved to be dry, especially her, because of course she didn't have the shelter of the termite mound today. Is this pole in the way? Paul?
Yeah.
Is it? Let me just move the car slightly, just so that we can get her and the babies in the same shot. Is that all right?
whooping nest. All right, I just heard a bird call and scrambling to show Glenn. Glenn, can you go up for us a little bit? Up, 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 up. There it is. Up a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Oh, it flew away. Oh, anyway, that was a ground scraper thrush. Oh, my excitement. I need to calm myself down to a panic. All right, we were busy driving down through towards the dam, and we saw something in the tree that just doesn't look right. Let's take a look at what it is. It is somewhere. Oh, there it is, over here. It smells delicious. Oh, my word. Tastes even better. A couple of days ago, we noticed 2 cheetah moving from the dam, and one of them decided to go climb about onto a tree. And I briefly touched on the behavior of cheetah using their nests in the southern Kalahari. Obviously a brilliant platform for these animals to get onto and either to scan for available prey or scan for available prey or rest on, or then do this over here, scent marking on top of the nest. This individual has climbed onto the tree. He would more than likely have urinated over here somewhere and then deposited this very stinky, smelly scat. We call a carnivore droppings scat, and just from this morning you could see how different the format is. And if Glenn can punch in here for us, we can see it's from a carnivore. You can see all the tiny little hairs. So hair, and as well as skin, hair especially, is a very hardy material. To break it down, you need another form of digestion. It is a very hardy material to break down, and so hardy it hasn't been broken down through this cheetah's stomach. It's being presented over here. So normally scat containing a hair like this would normally be from carnivores eating other animals, but this is a prime example where this animal wants the scent to travel further into this environment. If the scent was on the ground, there's going to be a lot of and that would eliminate the reach on this smell. So really amazing behavior and something really nice to see the scat like us on the tree. Very beautiful tree, camel thorn. You can see I've got my snake stick because we've been seeing so many cobras. This is my snake stick, literally my snake stick. And it comes with me and goes with me absolutely everywhere. So while we're looking at that amazing scent, and that plays a vital role. Remember, scent over here plays an important role, especially for carnivores or stronger animals that come into conflict with one another quite a lot. That there is eliminating potential conflict. So if you smell me before we can get into a clash and we can part ways before that even happens, great. That's what they are trying to do. That's why lions scent mark so much. That's why territorial animals scent mark so much within their territory. They are trying to deter animals before you come into conflict. But just another amazing thing, look at this. Huge, huge, huge hole made by a woodpecker. Look at that. Unbelievable.
I think that you can be glad you weren't here recently, because what we've been witnessing is possibly one of the most disgusting things I have ever had the displeasure of witnessing out here. Ribbon vomited up an enormous pile of shattered bones and goodness knows what else. And her cubs then came rushing over and ate some and rolled in it and fought over it and played in the vomit puddle, and then she vomited some more and they played in that too, and it was just absolutely disgusting. Wow. Right, I think that's enough of that. Is this now in the way again? No, we've got them. Nadira, do cubs grow faster by drinking milk? Faster than what? They definitely need to drink milk. The milk has a very high fat content, very high nutrient load, and for a young growing animal, it's definitely the best, or mammal certainly, it's definitely the best thing to be eating. But once they get past a certain stage, they have to eat dense meat nutrients and bone nutrients, because that's how their digestion works. And so, the milk helps them to grow at the optimum rate when they're young, but not when they're older. Ribbon is now re-eating her vomit, or digging in it. No, she's digging in it. Amazing. It is quite stunning. Wow. Stuck in bed, hyenas probably have a higher survival rate than lions. In fact, they definitely do. And you can tell that because they only give birth to 2 babies at a time. Lions up to 6, very unusual, but up to 6. And I'd say 1 in 10 lions makes it to adulthood. And I'd say that's about double that for hyenas, so 1 in 5 odd. One of them is now going to play with the door of the car. Hello. How are you? Not the door, sorry, the wheel. There is no door. What's happening? Their fur still looks cuddly even when they're this far, this close up. This little cub's face is now about a foot from mine. He's looking up and I'm looking down. Hi. Shame. It's got a bit of a cut underneath its nose that you can't see unless you're this close to it. You are a disgusting creature to have rolled in your mother's vomit. Yuck. Not quite so cuddly. I think we'll stay here until Mum goes off to forage.
Looks like we are about to go for a swim. Lots of preening going on here. Oh, flight check. Wow, these little guys have grown so quickly. It's a little bit of systems check here, just getting all their feathers realigned. Feeling good. If you feel good, you look good. Wow, look how that wing folds out, folks. Wow. See that beautiful iridescent window? Unbelievable. It's remarkable how birds are able to move their wings and how all their feathers fold up so neatly into that one solid wing. So realigning the feathers here, very important behavior that's being displayed right now, and something that all birds have to do. Yo. Nice webbed feet. You can see they're especially adapted to be within these watery environments. So what we refer to as a non-passerine bird. It's webbed, it's got 3 toes facing forward, it stands on those 3 toes, and it's got webbing in between. Remarkable. So I still haven't been able to see Mom and Dad and the other two siblings. So I don't know if they've gone fly about. I'm sure they have. Just before we arrived here, we actually saw 4 shell ducks flying north. And I thought it could have been the 4 young ones. But it could have been 2 of them with Mom and Dad. They're definitely getting to a stage now that they will be able to fly off and then go and find their own spot and do their own thing. But really nice behavior to see. Everything quieting down, it's still cool, it's even dropping off even more. So everything's going to find a spot, and the nocturnals will start coming out in the next hour or so. And then a whole nother shift comes into play in this environment. These guys will go to sleep, more than likely on the water. It's where they're safest during the midnight hours. They'll go to sleep on the water. And it's a real good advantage, especially through the colder periods, because water can actually be warmer than the external environment. Water doesn't fluctuate as quick as the ambient or external temperature does. Wow. Ducks like these that make us appreciate things. Beautiful. Look at those feet, guys. Such a privilege to watch these from Dylan when Dylan had them from goslings, from little babies. What a journey to go through to see these little ones grow up. And can I carry on walking? No, I'm gonna sit here. Wow, look at that. So we've just come to this watering hole, sitting and waiting quietly to see if there'll be any visitors. Hopefully a carnivore would come in here. This is quite an active pan for leopards. Because of the close proximity to the mountains, that is on the left-hand side of the pan, leopards make their way into this pan frequently to come for a drink or to look for prey.
Our lionesses are still on the move. One of them tried to get closer. She failed an attempt. So now they're back on the move. We have activated our infrared to follow this activity. It seems like there's lots of wildebeest and zebra. So that one is heading to where she's located. Some of them grazing, and they're walking slowly to join the other herd. Now back to another lioness here is lying down as she's watching their sister on the move. You're walking slowly. These lions are super hungry, and they must find something to eat tonight. They have small cubs, and sure it's because of them nursing that they have to hunt on a regular basis. Sometimes they might leave the cubs for up to a day, 24 hours, and then they return back to the den later. She's the one that failed an attempt as the sister was watching. It's so interesting how she blends in so well. You can only see the black spots behind the ears. All those zebras and wildebeest that were around here have moved off because they got spooked when the lioness chased the zebras. Remember, we're coming to you live, #WildEarth on the YouTube comment section. At FC, our young viewers, kids question at wildearth.tv. It's so quiet at the moment. All the herd that were here had just left. We have a big herd of buffalo just walking into the swamp there with very young calves. I'm not sure if they might decide to go for a buffalo calf. Look at the zebras there, and the wildebeest are running up and down. There's lots of confusion going on there, and you wonder if the lions will pick that as a target because some of them might be absent-minded, not knowing, oh, the buffaloes are the ones that are chasing them. I'm not sure what happened there. See the buffalo chasing the wildebeest. Maybe they just got unhappy with these herds because the buffaloes have very young calves. They're still on the move, running up and about. Not quite sure what spooked them and what made the buffalo chase the wildebeest. Or maybe it's an evening run, or maybe they're doing a competition between wildebeest and buffalo. Here the zebra stallions going crazy. They're just calling and calling. So this is when the lions might take an advantage. So most of them are not unaware of the lions, so it is easier for them to creep in and bring one down. They've stopped. Could be maybe they've picked a scent because the lions were not far from there, but still this one is lying down here waiting patiently as she's watching the sister walk about. Let's find out if these lions will make a move or maybe still sit down there as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
We've got some exploring cubs and exhausted mum. The cubs have gone off behind the vehicle and they're just mucking about in the grass there. Ribbon's gone to sleep in her own vomit, which is, well, I mean, I'll leave you to decide what that is. I'm just glad I'm not a hyena. Yes. How lovely. Oh, what a good stretch. They're just over there behind you. Would you bring them back here? Because we don't have a great view of them currently. She knows exactly where they are. Does she? Here they come. They would, Bill. Big Marshall Eagle might have a go at these cubs. But I think they're probably, by now they're too big. Also, it would be unlikely that they'd succeed, or that a big bird of prey would succeed, because if Mum was here, they wouldn't try. And if Mum wasn't here, they'd most likely be in the den, so it's very unlikely. You lost them. They're just round there, investigating another hole. There they are. Look left. Oh dear. I think she's going to leave to go foraging, which means that we will have to leave too. Maybe she feels she's played nursemaid sufficiently for the day. No, I'm going to sit down there. Hello, Torchwood Jackal. You were obviously not on drive with us this morning. They have been using this den, this particular time around for about 10 hours now. They arrived here at about 7:30 this morning, having left the other den, which is still active. They have used this den over the years many times. And so, I suspect on and off they've been using it for more than a decade. And not necessarily, obviously not all of these hyenas, but the clan itself. I don't want to move just yet because, oh, look at this. This cub has just emerged from that hole, and I don't know if it went in there or if it's walked straight through the termite mound. Did you go straight through, my friend? I remember that the hole it's looking into now extended all the way to the one on the right. We used to watch them going into that one and out the one on the top. There's definitely some excavating going on at the top there. Lovely sounds of the Shelley's Franklin calling. I think we should probably try and make our way up there. Let's just wait and see if they carry on excavating there. If they do, we'll move around there. Nadira, I would say that they sleep for between 16 and 18 hours a day. Quite a long time, not as long as lions, but certainly on some days they'll sleep for as long as lions do. But it will vary, it's not always the same. And I suppose what's interesting here is that they have fairly specific hours of activity, but not as specific as the lions do. So the Nkuhuma pride, which is the pride that we see most frequently, tends to sleep all day. They almost never move in the day. Sometimes they do, but they almost never move in the day. Whereas in the Mara, lions often move during the day, and hyenas tend to be pretty, unless it's migration season, they tend to be pretty crepuscular in the Mara and nocturnal. Whereas here, the hyenas are a little bit more variable in their activity. Mostly they sleep during the day, but sometimes you'll find them knocking about in the day. And I think we'll probably move slightly and see if we can get a better view of the entrance on the right there.
Can't get over the beautiful and intricate structure of these nests. We have seen these nests positioned within thorny or spiny trees. Maybe let's go. Who can guess what nest this is? If you know, drop us a comment. We have seen these little birds and we have seen the nest before. You typically see them in small groups, 6 to 20. That also would vary depending on where you are. They're quite small. They weigh only at about 10, maybe a little bit more, maybe 10.5 grams. Tiny little bird, 10 grams, 10 grams, and only is about 10.5 centimeters. So a fairly tiny little bird using the inflorescence, that reproductive structure of grass. A remarkable little nest. And in the winter times when it's frigid, you could find anywhere up to 10 or so birds shoved in this little nest. And obviously building a nest within a tree like this, you are in a very, very safe point while you are resting at night. I mean, I wouldn't even want to try my luck with this tree. This tree is just so vicious. This is the blackthorn. You can see it's a little bit bigger than we saw last time. They can get a little bit taller and they can develop quite a substantial trunk. Not all trees have trunks, which is good to know, but a vicious little tree in order for you to build its nest. Oh, oopsie, my bad. Let me make sure. It looks like the start of a scaly feathered weaver nest. I actually can't see, but the structure of here, if we look at very carefully, they have used the reproductive parts of grass, the inflorescence. So I'm going to go with that. I have let the cat out the bag, but this is in no more in use, so I'm not disturbing this at any point. When it comes to nests and looking at nests, it's really incredible to look at the structure of nests and understand them. This morning, myself and Glenn did locate a Kalahari scrub robin nest. And how we located it is that we were busy driving and the bird flew across the road. It landed in front of the car, and then we stopped and looked at it. And in its beak, it had a little bit piece of nesting material. So anyway, we reversed the car back and we just watched very, very carefully. This bird went into the thickets and up into the tree. We watched carefully and we actually have located the nest. So hopefully we can have some exciting and amazing behavior unraveling there for us. Hopefully we can see the eggs and as well as see the birds once they hatch. Sassy Tassie, what is the longest living bird in the bush? One of those, eh? What is the longest living? I would know about the bush, but I know by my general knowledge, and I'm learning every single day, and I do make mistakes. I get very excited. I stumble over my words. I put in other information that shouldn't be there. I'm only human. So if I had to go, not specifically to the bush, but one of the longest living birds, I would say would be one of the albatross species. They're in the ocean. They're not in the bush, but in the bush. Oh, that's a good one. I should know that. Why don't I know that? I should know that. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research just so that I have the correct information, so that I don't give you the wrong information on that. What is the longest living bird? What is the longest lifespan of a bird in the bush? I will find out for you and I'll get back to you. That's a great question. That's good general knowledge for myself as a birder. But birds on the ocean, they do live long, especially those albatross. They're specially designed to be on the wing for a very, very long period. But that is a good question. I'm going to have to look it up for you. It would be one of your raptors. It would definitely be one of your raptors. Raptors do live very, very long. Their size, it's a general correlation between birds and their age. As they get bigger, so their lifespan generally gets longer with them as well. So when I look on this beautiful game path, you can see where I'm walking over here, there's absolutely no grass. There's no sediment. This is where animals continuously move up and down on these we call them game trails. And this will be to and from water. And you can see the structure of it. This is antelope that have been moving. It's fairly narrow. If we had elephants here, it would be much bigger. Those elephant herds moving would create a much bigger path. But these game trails, these pathways or highways leading to and from water get quite intense around a water source. And it's always really nice to sit and wait for anything to come up to you. We've actually come into this area because we're looking for a pair of jackals. Myself and Glenn have been driving this road for the past 3-4 days now, and every single day we get here, we find a jackal or two jackals together. And if we can locate that den, oh my word, I will do a backflip. I think the question is, what predators could get in this nest? A very desperate bird would try, but something slithery and long that we've been looking at today would be able to get up into here. A snake is one predator that would be able to get up into here and snack on, unfortunately, the little chicks or eggs. So definitely a snake. This stuff is very, very dangerous. And if I ask Glenn just to look in over here, tell me when you're there, Glenn. Look at these. The whole tree is laden with these tiny little backward-facing hooks. And believe you me, they are not easy to break. If you can see my finger, look how it gets hooked in, and it doesn't punch you, it rips. So for a predator, a mammal, to try and get in here, you are super desperate. So a snake would be one thing. A snake like a boomslang, they are specially adapted to inhabit or hunt in an arboreal. Arboreal is tree dwelling. So a snake like a boomslang would be able to use its body, twisting its body and moving up here, and then eventually to that nest where they could snack on a little chick or egg or two. But really nice question. What would snack on? Snakes have a big factor or a big impact on bird species across the bird. Like we looked at the sociable weaver nest, they are a big regulating factor for the population to kind of be in balance, which is really amazing. So every component being very, very important. So the blackthorns, hopefully when we get a bit of rain, and we're really lucky because the cloud cover that we've had today has allowed that water to stay in the soil. If I dig over here, look how much moisture is still left. But if I go a bit further down, look how it becomes dry. Look at that. So the ground cover, and as well as the cover that we're having now from these clouds, allows the soil to hold on to the moisture a little bit longer. That allows then the plants and the trees to then take it up. And hopefully we do get a bit more rain, and you'll see these trees start busting out leaves. There's a lot of remnants of old leaves. Oh, and look at that, as we're talking. Brand new little leaves starting to come. Welcome to the world, little leaves. Beautiful little paddle-shaped leaves, and you can see all the flowers starting to really wilt down now. They've done their job. Seeds have been obviously produced on this tree, and that's it. Now it's to push out leaves, start photosynthesizing, produce a lot of energy, store it inside, and then ride out the beautiful summer until the onset of winter. That's what trees do. They go through these beautiful, certain trees do that, go through these beautiful ebbs and flows where they drop their leaves and they store or hold on until the favorable periods.
Well, it is dark here. Well, it is dark here already, and we are on infrared to allow us to see anything that we might find close to a distance of about 30 meters or 100 feet. But I haven't seen anything yet. I'm multitasking with a lot of things now, driving, spotlighting, and looking. It's a special kind of skill that you have to have. I'm trying to see if I can find something. Oh, there's something here. What is this? It's a Thompson's gazelle. Yeah, we'll be stopping to see it. It's over there. I don't know why he's here all by himself. This is a very, very bad spot to be in. I don't know who's next over there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see Bungi. It's over there. Yeah, there he is. It's two of them. Yeah, their eyes are glowing, but we are not affecting them. The infrared doesn't, affect their eyesight, so they're very, very safe. It's a very long grass here, a good place to have a leopard or a lion ambush, to ambush them. But these guys have decided to be here. I think they're very, very brave ones. I don't think I would like to be in an area like this, because this is an area that is infested with lions and hyenas. But who am I to say anything? This is their kind of terrain. This is where they live, and they know how to be safe at night. There's something else quite a long way, but we cannot see it. It's quite a long way, so I'm going to push on, see if we can find something else. But the temperature has dropped. It is quite dark. DG Jumbo, you want to know which predators are more active at night? Right now, the most active one will be the leopard, but all the top predators that we have here in the Mara, leopard, lion, hyena, are very active, not to mention, caracal, jackal, saval cat, all those are very, very active. Yeah, it's time of day where they use the advantage of their amazing eyesight to locate prey and, get it. So they're all active. Yeah, the Thompson has sort of headed back. Yeah, this is perfect for all those predators that I've mentioned. I'm hoping maybe I'll see one before the time is over. But who am I to say anything? This is the wild. They'll show up when they want. It's not as cold as I expected. I would say it's around maybe 18 degrees Celsius. And so it is perfect. What is that, Bungay, on top of the mound? You see it? Can you reach there? There is something. We're going to try and use the infrared. I don't know if it's going to reach there. Looks. Okay, we're going to stick here and find out who is that walking in the plains. Hopefully something that we can share in the next segment as we take you to another live safari vehicle. It's too dark.
Welcome back. We just thought that before we move on, we'll appreciate that beautiful sunset. And once again, the clouds really making it so much better. It is beautiful when it's just the sun. You can see this big, beautiful ball within the sky. But the clouds kind of make it where it's a bit more creative. Kind of makes it what my mind's like it's rushing all over the place and just squiggly and great. It's fantastic. There's a little bit of pink light coming at the bottom of the horizon there, and then obviously that setting with those camel thorns and some shepherd's trees, and then look at that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we receive a bit more rain tonight with that that water in the soil. That is really an amazing start to the season. And if you take a look at it, we've gone through quite a long drought period, and hopefully this is the end of that dry spell and we have a wet year. That's what we want. When we do have a wet year here, things can really just bloom all over the place. There was a question asked a couple of days ago of veld fires, and obviously, how do they start? Lightning would be one of them. So through this period, we really need to be very careful of rogue veld fires. And the last big fire here was about 2012, where the fire took on, started on the mountain from a big lightning strike, and it whipped through the mountains. It's a very dangerous thing, not only for the animals and the ecology, but also for the people residing here. Tswalu supports a large community, people from all over the country, lots of people from the Northern Cape. Tswana people, that's the local language within the Northern Cape. And that's how I've opened the show. Dumela is the greeting, hello, in Tswana, which is very, very important. History and as well as culture is very important. Nature lover, how cold does it get here at night? In winter, we are most nights below zero, so quite cold, 0 degrees Celsius. So that is frigid for my warm, loving bones. I'm a summer baby through and through. And then in the summer, we are anywhere around 18 to 25 degrees Celsius. So very comfortable for myself. Winter is a very special time and very important. I just do not operate well in the cold. I like it to be warm. I like to feel like I'm working. My body must be really driving me forward. So yeah, below zero almost every night, and then we've recorded minus 7 degrees Celsius here. That is super cold. We've had instances where the Land Rovers don't even start. We need to wake up our guests and tell them, listen, we're going to go out a little bit later. Of course, the vehicle has decided not to start. give it a little bit of time to warm up, and then we are away. But then it's beautiful. Out here in the Southern Kalahari, we can have the whole day out in the bush, from sunrise to sunset, looking at animals, appreciating the dunes, appreciating the trees, and appreciating what we're looking at now. Just a tiny little gap between the beautiful mass of clouds. Just that tiny little gap, appreciate, because it is abundance. It's free energy. Soak it up, guys. And I'm so glad we can soak it up with you. Kalahari scrub, I'm calling, and now at this point those little barking geckos are starting to call. And it's quite a remarkable little reptile sitting just at the burrow entrance and giving that vocalization. It's not a very big reptile. It's only about 4 or 5 centimeters long, maybe a little bit longer, but producing a sound like that is remarkable, and something that's important and very heard. How good or bad are bushfires for animals at Tswalu? So bushfires are very important. Unfortunately not for the animals themselves, but because some animals can't get away quick enough. Things like tortoises unfortunately will die if they're caught in the crossfire. Antelope have the ability to move very quickly and get out to that danger way. Birds fly away, other reptiles can move fairly quickly. But the grass, so if you look over here, there's hardly no grass at the moment. Everything's been eaten here, and that's typical, normal of the cycle. But grass are really remarkable plants. Let me find a spot over here. There we go. So for grass is very important, that through certain areas and in the savanna biome which we are in, it's very important that grass and vegetation does get burnt every couple of years. Because if it doesn't, and it exceeds that time frame, it starts becoming into a format what we refer to as moribund. So grasses have special adaptations. The growth points of a lot of grass are actually found under the ground, and that is a special adaptation that if a fire comes through here, only this section of the grass gets burnt. So once the fire comes through, it takes that out, and the growth points are actually under the ground. So once the fires come through, all the ash is amazing nutrients for the soil, but then also for the plant's roots that are underneath here. And once you have a little bit of rain and all that ash and all that nutrients goes into the ground, this plant will then grow again. Other trees, they have fire-resistant bark, thick bark that is able to withstand crazy temperatures. Some trees have their growth points at the tips, and that's where they have all the leaves as well. Grass needs to be burnt. It's very, very important, and it is important that you do go through a cycle. It's very important that you go through a cycle of fire, but also we have to be very careful because of people on Tswalu. Tswalu has to ensure the safety of the staff members. So if an unlikely event of a fire, we have a specialized team that knows exactly what to do.
We are here with a specialized team too. Our specialized team just changed the tire. We had a flat tire. And now we have our spotlight out and we're looking for any eyes in the darkness. This is why I quite like that we have this extra half an hour at the end of the PM drive. Because I really miss driving around in the darkness and having the spotlight out. So you can see things that you couldn't see before. I know it seems counterintuitive because there's no light. But your spotlight highlights different things. This is the time to look for scrub hares, for chameleons, for genets, and for that last-minute leopard, of course. So we spoke about the tapetum lucidum when we were talking about the eyes of one of the animals, and that is the reflective layer in the back of the eye. And that's what you see when you see eye shine. You see that light reflected back out. And that's what I am looking for as I swipe through the bush with my spotlight out. Our resident chameleon is on an area that's zoned at the moment. Jerry, you want to know why this area is called the low felt? Well, the name kind of gives it away. There's the low veld and there's the high veld. And the high veld is an area with high altitude, and the low veld is slightly lower than the high veld. That's why it's called the high veld. The low veld. The high veld is slightly closer to Johannesburg, and then we have this big escarpment or big mountains of the Drakensberg, and the Lebombo, and the low veld is kind of in between them. The Drakensberg Mountains is off to our west. Unfortunately, we can't see them at the moment with all the clouds. In the Drakensberg escarpment, the whole mountain range extends such a great way across South Africa. I'm so used, because I've grown up in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal, which is on the east coast. And for us, Drakensberg is really close. And I never expected I'd come up here and I'd still see the Drakensberg. So it's quite cool. Sheila, you say, let's find a chameleon? Well, Sheila, let's find a chameleon. Let's do it. Now, usually with this type of weather, I'm hoping that they'll be out because it's drier than it was the last few days. When it's cold and wet, obviously being reptiles, they kind of go to the base of trees. Remember where we used to find Fernando a lot of the time? At the base of trees. But I'm hoping that because it's a little bit drier, they'd be out more at the tops. But Sheila, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's find a chameleon. Hopefully we'll be able to.
Now, listen. Tree. It is a cicada, or as they say in the United States of America, a cicada. I suspect they say the same in Canada as well. And I'm trying to find it, for it is my first of the season, and I do so love them. They are very ventriloquistic. I don't know if it's in this tree. Gosh, it's loud down here. Can you even still see me, Impala? Have to move very slowly. Otherwise, it will stop calling. It is on the ground. It is so loud. Where are you? Beastly little thing. Trying to move with the stealth of the Kalamba. I'm sure you can't see me anymore. I'm definitely very close. Oh. It's here, where you can't see me. But I don't know where. It's in the grass. Okay, so that's the cicada. And unlike the cicadas of North America, the species here are only under the ground for about a year. So they're not like that species in the States that goes under the ground for 17 years. These ones only for a year normally. And there are probably 7 or 8 species of cicada at least that we find in this particular part of the world. And that's the second one that I've heard this season. And they're my favorite because they remind me of the summer. and Christmas holidays in summer, which to many of you must sound a bit weird.
All right, welcome back. Just thought that we'll show you the beautiful colors that are being produced from this blackthorn. Now that the flowers have finished with their job, it's time to now produce seeds. On the previous question about fires, and Tswalu, yes, mammals will be able to move, birds will be able to move, but for the vegetation, it's very important. Sometimes even so important that it has to happen. So a biome, a vegetative group in the southern part of South Africa called the fynbos biome, has to have fire in order for it to be thriving and really in a high production load. But what an amazing job this blackthorn has done, because now look at the amount of seed pods that are being produced here. What a beautiful color it is. I'm having a whistling competition with this Kalahari scrub robin over here. But in the next couple of weeks, the seeds will produce inside these pods, and then they will drop to the floor. A lot of animals will eat them. The nutritional content out of these seeds always hold a little bit more value. So they are highly sought after by most animals. But some seeds have special tactics to protect them. So if they're eaten, they aren't destroyed totally. And some seeds actually have to go through the tummies of animals. And then once in the scat, they're in the perfect position. Things like ants and termites will collect them, and then they will distribute them. And once inside a termite mound, you're in the perfect spot. It's comfy, it's nice, it's got water. It looks like biltong. Now that you mentioned it, it does. It literally looks like biltong I would eat. When I eat biltong, sorry to all the vegetarians, I am a meat eater. I am going through the process. I feel it's very important as a human being. We should be very conscious of what we're doing. And obviously, the production of beef is tremendously detrimental to the environment. No offense to anybody who does. I'm not saying anything, but it is something that we as humans need to start considering how and what we are doing on this planet. Living with an understanding that we are intricately connected to this beautiful planet. But it does. What an observation. But yes, when I eat biltong, I want it where it's still nice and pink like that. That's where all the flavor is. I don't like biltong that's dry. I want it to be soft and juicy. And what a privilege it is to consume biltong. Even when you eat it, you must eat it with respect. It's nourishing your body. Same as an animal coming here and eating the seed pod. I bet you now that animal says, thank you so much. Thank you to every little item I'm going to eat, because it is really doing something so important for you. It allows you, gives you the energy to grow, to move, to function. It's remarkable. So in the next couple of days, you can see there's a few leaves starting to bust out on this guy. And the water that we received, we need a little bit more to really start. Can you see this one here, Glenn? It's just starting. They produce these beautiful little paddle-shaped like leaves. And this is from the growth point. Very nice to see that there. And these are brand new. So welcome to the world, my friend. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Obviously, trees along with ocean-dwelling plants, things like phytoplankton, are very important to the oxygen we breathe. Very, very important. It's amazing ability, and it's green because that is the color that they are reflecting. So all the light that's been pushed down, the photons are captured, the energy is captured from the sunlight into this leaf, and it's stored into a pot, and that's where this little tree is able then to extract the carbon and then obviously release oxygen as a byproduct. Really remarkable biological activity. Next time you take a breath, take it in, and just understand how precious that stuff really is. That is everything to us. I mean, you not long without that, and it's not going to be long, but incredible. Biltong.
Well, it's dark here, and because we are on IR, infrared, the only thing we can show you is in black and white. As you can see there, we have a jackal You can see the shape of the body, the huge ears, the shiny eye, pointed muzzle. That is the silver-backed or the black-backed jackal. The pair for life. The other pair is far to the left. We cannot see him. He's hiding somewhere. I don't think we'll be able to see him. But that guy is, resting there. Looks like that's where they're going to tuck themselves for the night. Mind you, they can be active at night when they haven't had their fill during the day. But looks like this guy maybe got lucky. They were lucky during the day. So right now it's a matter of grooming themselves and hoping that the night will pass well. Yeah, you can tell he's putting his head up. I think he's listening to the other pair who's far to the left. These guys are scavengers, but also very efficient hunters. I wish, yes, there he is. I'm talking about you. Yeah, they look like coyotes or dogs, but they're in that family, but these ones are wild. Those huge ears are to detect for the slightest movement, close or far, and they have lightning speed. They can run really, really fast and can turn at very, very sharp angles. Thank you, mister. You stood up. It's Mrs. actually. Thank you. That is it. That is her. And I think she's going to get closer to her man, who's somewhere up there. Hopefully we'll see them together. Yeah, that is the kind of gait that they have. They normally don't walk slowly. They walk really fast. Yeah, there's the other one. Yeah, amazing that they can find each other in pitch dark. Are you passing? He's right there somewhere. Yeah, looks like she has located him. He's somewhere close there. Yeah, that is perfect. Usually when they have young ones, they have puppies, they'll find a burrow where they'll, give birth. The female will give birth. They can give birth to up to 6, and they stay, put until they're about a month old. That's when they start coming out, and food is brought to them. It's sometimes brought whole. Yes, and they stay in that den for quite a long time, up to around 3.5, 4 months. That's when they become independent to move on. I'm going to move on, and while I do that, I'm going to take you to another safari vehicle.
Look what we found. We found what Trishala seeks day and night. It is a chameleon. It is looking at us with great distaste, and I think it looks almost as if it has a wad of tobacco between its gums and its lips. See how its bottom lip sticks out? Trishala is the chameleon expert, and as she suspected, they'd be out because it's a little bit drier. Now, if I can remember this bush tomorrow, I suspect this chameleon will be here. Isn't he sweet? You can tell that he's not particularly upset by us because he's hardly changed colour at all. So we've been subtle enough with him that he hasn't felt the need to go dark and panic. Trishala will be most displeased that I have found this chameleon, given that she is the chameleon genius. He's just checking out the scene from the top of his little bush. I want to see what tree he's sitting in. It looks like just a combretum. I think it is just a combretum, but the leaves looked a little bit brown ivoryish. But I think it's just a young bush willow. Yes, Elizabeth, he is very small and cute, is he not? Now remember the time change in case you missed it. It started this morning, and we'll be out at 5:30 Central African time tomorrow until 9 o'clock, so 3.5 hours. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your questions and for your comments. It's always a joy to be with you in the wilderness. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.